Nazis vanished without a trace. Tell of their defeat in 45. They all came out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died. They say the prisoner of Spandau was a symbol of defeat. Whilst Hess remained in prison, then the fascists they would beat. So the promise of an Aryan world would never materialize. So why did they all come out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died? The world is riddled with maggots. The maggots are getting fat. They're making a tasty meal of all the bosses and bureaucrats. They're taking over the boardrooms and they're fat and full of pride. And they all came out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died. So if you meet with these historians, I'll tell you what to say. Tell them that the Nazis never really went away. They're out there burning houses down and peddling racist lies. And we'll never rest again until every Nazi dies.
Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. The invasion had begun. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. But I feel my time has come, and if I die here for the resistance, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. And if I die here for the resistance, you must lay me in my grave among the flowers upon the mountain. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Among the flowers upon the mountain, let me rest among the brave. Someday the people will pick the flowers. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Someday the people will pick the flowers, and they will remember my name. This is the flower of the resistance. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty. This is the flower of the resistance. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty. This is the flower of our resistance, and those who died for liberty.
Come all of you good workers, good news to you I'll tell of how the good old Union has come in here to dwell.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
My daddy was a miner and I'm a miner's son, and I'll stick with the Union till every battle's won.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
They say in Harlan County there are no neutrals there. You'll either be a Union man or a thug for J.H. Blair.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Oh, workers, can you stand it? Oh, tell me how you can. Will you be a lousy scab or will you be a man?
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Don't scab for the bosses, don't listen to their lies. Us poor folks haven't got a chance unless we organize.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
I was born in the Dublin street where the lion runs do be, and the lovely English people walked all over us. And every single night when they tell come home tight, he'd invite the neighbours out with his chorus. Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA made you run like Galloway from the green and lovely lace of Gillishandra. Come tell us how you slew them old Arabs 2 by 2. Like the Zulus, they had nice bows and arrows. Of how bravely you faced one with your 16-pounder gun, and you frightened all the natives to the marrow. Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA made you run like Galloway from the green and lovely lace of Gillishandra.
Hello there, my little cherubs. How are we all? I'm very well, thank you for asking. What does my fucking camera keep slightly twisting over there? It's very annoying. How are we all? Are you well? I hope you're well. I can't fucking help it either way. I'm not your fucking therapist. It's not how it works. I've been fucking sick as a bastard last couple of days. By which I mean I've had a slight sniffle and have laid in bed for 2 days because I'm a fucking lazy cunt. Hello. Yeah. No Justice was going to get back yesterday quite late and I was tired and sick, and so we decided to do the question time from yesterday today. So, you know, hello everyone. It's very early. I like to do streams so late that the Europeans can't stay up or watch it, or too early for the Europeans to be out of work. Because that's the Brexit we voted for, okay? Brexit means Brexit, which means you can't even fucking watch shit. You'd make a great therapist, no the fuck I would not. Actually, that's not technically true. Like, I don't know that I'd make a great one, but if I actually put my mind to it, I think I could probably give you some decent advice. As a person who's suffered on and off with mental health issues, I reckon I could do a passable job. But anyway, you know. I never thought Freddie Starr Ate My Hamster would be surpassed. Well, true. Very true. I've got you on in work, Kev. Exactly. The dollar the boss makes a dollar, you make a dime. That's why you watch Kev on Company Time. Boom. Oh. What is she doing? It is 9 minutes past, god dang it. Is she live? I don't know. Oh, she is live. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, you can help me out financially with bits and subs and all of that jazz. I will be ordering my Zohran Mamdani merch today. I'm going to try and get something for the wall. Like, presume someone has to have ripped this art off and put it on like a flag or a mat or something. We can definitely, because it doesn't even matter if he turns into a bit of a bellend, which is perfectly possible. He is a Democrat after all. But it's still an amazing piece of stupid art. You know, definitely worthwhile. She's commenting on the youth parliament. What? You just need to get it signed. Oh, that would be dope. If I ever get the chance to meet Zohran Mamdani and I'm aware beforehand that it's happening, I will take my merch with me and get it signed. That would be cool. Piss has been boiled. Genuinely industrial rate as well, which is nice.
I mean, that happens a lot.
What happens a lot?
People who come up to the Green Party as a new member in their constituency just get asked immediately to go, can you please stand as a councillor? We don't have anybody.
Well, thankfully I haven't been asked.
I mean, you should do it. You should fucking do it. Let's go. King Kev.
Are you joking me? All I do
Imagine how incredible it would be if, like, Keir Starmer goes, but I would accept a question for the Green Party who said he would finger the corpse of Andrei Pavlovich.
Well, it's not even that. It's he made fun of Charlie Kirk's neck. That sort of thing that I think would be the issue. That sort of thing. He did a crab dance when, Michael Heseltine died or whatever. Hang on.
Of the revolution now.
Well, I don't know. That's a bad example because he isn't dead. Yes, that is true.
He isn't. First of all, he isn't dead, and he is literally one of the only liberals who's out there actually calling for Russia fascist.
Which is cool. Yeah, true. Anyway, but there's no way. There's no way I get elected. Yeah. Firstly, I don't want to talk to the electorate. They're scum. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. And secondly, my opponents would just be like, "Have you seen this thing he did? Have you seen this awful fucking thing he did? He literally said he would dig up Margaret Thatcher's corpse and fuck it in front of the entire country." And you know what? I've said it, and I stand by it. I'm taking a leaf out of Mamdani's book. I apologise for none of it. Okay?
And if anyone has a problem with it, they're rattled. They're just rattled.
Exactly. Look, if my fucking of Margaret Thatcher's corpse has annoyed you, cry harder, okay? Cry harder. I've boiled your piss. Get over yourself.
Piss boiled Morgan.
True. Oh, God, it's good. Anyway.
Actually, honestly, it's so good. It's so good. The most high profile left wing politician in the country is a shit poster. Yeah,
no, absolutely. Well, this is the thing, right? There's a genuine it's fun. The kind of the New York Post front page of Zohran Mamdani, right? And it's fun. Zack Polanski doing these kind of I boiled your piss, mate type stuff. But there's a genuine point behind it. It's not just fun. It's that the way in which politics is done has fundamentally changed for the newer generations. But boomers are not going to get this. Boomers would be scared by the idea of the mayor of New York with a hammer and sickle. Whereas for most younger New Yorkers, they were literally marking up the price of the newspaper on stands in New York because so many younger people who would never buy that paper bought the paper in droves because they wanted a copy of that image because it's fucking hard. Right?
It goes so hard, doesn't it?
The way in which they try to scare boomers with Red Scare nonsense doesn't work anymore. Fundamentally, they're going to have to completely change up their tactics because this only plays into the narrative. Like, yeah, we'll do a joke about woke Sharia taking over the country because it's fucking funny and it's just a meme, you stupid bastards. Just because it's on Facebook doesn't mean it's real.
I mean, did you see the joke TikToks of women going, "Yeah, Zohran won. We're gonna start implementing Sharia communism," and all the conservatives taking it seriously?
Exactly. Like conservatism is about purposefully misunderstanding things that are very obviously a joke.
No, I don't think it's purposely misunderstanding. I think they're just idiots. Again, I think
some of them are, but I think I think a lot of the people in the media who do it know it's a joke. They must know it's a joke.
That's true.
They couldn't survive in this world if they didn't, I don't think.
Yeah, I think that's true. But that's the thing. The problem is, I've put out multiple segments over the last couple of weeks where I've just lost it, and I've just been I try and take conservatives seriously and engage with their arguments in good faith and have a exchange of ideas, and I've come to the conclusion now, half of them just fucking idiots. Just
Yeah.
stupid.
Very much so. So, we've got question time. That's in the bag. Do you have anything before we get going?
Should we watch the? Oh, do you remember the thing with sorry, one sec. Did you remember, Kev, a couple of weeks back, where there was an episode of the Times podcast with Daniel Finkelstein and Hugo Rifkin and some other people like Paul McKenzie?
That Finkelstein is still having his piss boiled about. Still now.
Funny, I don't think Daniel Finkelstein even cared. It's just he's still saying the same lies about Zack Polanski that he said last time. So we covered it on stream, and essentially they had a discussion about the Greens where somebody from the Labour Party called Sally, I don't know the fuck she is, she said, "Oh, I can't believe the Greens are like this. There must be loads of Green voters who hate the direction of the party now," which is just untrue. Like, we have the best voter retention from any party other than Reform UK at this point.
Yeah.
And Zack Polanski's approval rating of Green voters is incredibly high. And then Daniel Finkelstein said, well, Zack Polanski just hates growth and hates wealth and thinks they're both bad, which is just like not true. It just fundamentally isn't true. And so they had a kind of meltdown there. I think even then it was mostly Polly McKenzie and Sally, Labour person who I don't know, who were all up in arms about it. And they have revisited the discourse, and they posted a clip of it on Twitter, which was worth watching.
Well, you will have to link that to me because I don't have it.
Let me find
I have a
it.
couple of Birmingham-related stories, if you'll allow me to be.
Oh, let's fucking go.
Well, we'll do it afterwards. It doesn't. The order hardly matters, but yeah.
I mean, there is a very important Birmingham story we definitely need to cover.
Would that be a certain football-related story?
Oh, absolutely. It includes everything. Everything that Kevin Logan has plenty of opinions about. Football, Birmingham, and Israel.
Yes, the three things I know anything about. Well, that and, of course, laying pipe. But we don't need to get into that tonight.
True.
Anyway, yes, so, Times Radio, so just just cancer warning. That's all it needs to be said. That's the content warning on that.
1 second, let me just get my stream ready for it.
Let me know when you're ready and we'll tee it up.
There we go.
Right, so Times Radio, or Cancer FM, if you will.
I mean, Talk TV for Oxbridge graduates.
Basically, yes. Basically, that is precise. In the same way that the Times has become the Sun for Oxbridge graduates. I mean, they still change shit. Basically,
I also think it's funny that they thought Matt Chorley wasn't enough of a dickhead that they replaced him with Hugo Rifkin.
I mean, Hugo Rifkin is like if white privilege became a human being.
Literally just a Nepo baby.
Yeah.
Like, he's the absolute, like, king of the Nepo babies.
Indeed.
No talent, no discernible actual expertise in anything, just literally employed because his dad was famous.
And that's politically famous, not like famous.
True.
Here's a few of the words used to describe us. Smug, middle-class, liberal, know-nothing and entitled.
I wouldn't even say liberal, to be honest. Like, in a general sense, you're not radical, so yeah, fine. But other than that, yeah, smug, middle-class, nubbins, yeah.
True. And no word of a lie. Whoever said that on Twitter, they're based.
Yeah, why are you posting your own owls on your own show?
Somebody on X. Pomposity, hubris, and feigned ignorance, said another. Owen Jones said it was one of the most insufferably smug conversations in human history. And
why are you posting Owen Jones's fat dubs as well? What the hell is wrong with you? This is... Look, you realise that by echoing the noises that are mocking you, that's a double burn. The original post was a burn, and you repeating it is another burn.
True.
God, you're lucky your policies on the NHS haven't come to fruition, because you'll be able to go to the hospital for those burns.
He'll have a lot to compare that with, personally, I'd imagine. So, fair enough. And Zack Polanski himself...
the classic tactic of, nuh-uh, you know what you are. That's you, that is. That's a really good political strategy. Yeah.
Literally when I know you are, but what am I?
Yeah. But again, for Uxbridge graduates, so it's fine.
Yeah.
If you say it in a posh accent, it's a proper argument. Like if you say your mater, it's actually it's a solid argument rather than saying your mom. You know.
Self said, I find this kind of, rude word, nauseating. If you understand the basic...
Rude what? Chat, I'm going to lose it. The rude word was bollocks. It's not even that rude a word.
There's no, like, watersheds on
Yeah.
radio. You can say, just say bollocks.
Yeah, look, are you aiming this at a child-friendly audience? Do you think there are many under 16s watching your show? Maybe?
I mean, maybe if they were considering about their child-friendly audience, maybe that's why they no longer do their show with the self-described best pal of Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah, the yum friend of Jeffrey Epstein is probably not the best man for your child-friendly audience. Yeah, that's true.
principle that our environment is being destroyed by super-rich corporate polluters, join the Green Party. Danny, you engaged in a bit of a...
Someone clip that and put it up. That's a great sales pitch you've just done there. Thanks.
Well, again, exactly. Like somebody on The Spectator said that Zack Polanski is the charming barista welcoming you to the coffee shop. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll vote for this. Cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Look, do you think that's a diss? Like, that sounds awesome. Rather than the evil corporate bot that will sell your fucking hospitals and shit down the river and send your kid to get blown up in a war.
Again, it's genuinely crazy, like the kind of aesthetic that our political class believe is necessary to be a successful politician, right? And you look at like Tony Blair coming out and saying that they need to scrap a bunch of workers' rights from the new bill that Labour are trying to push through. And I'm just like, this man is like an absolute demon. He looks and acts and sounds like a demon, and these people are like, oh bravo, what a titan of British politics. And I'm just like, you can be politically successful and not be a monster.
Well, not in their world, of course.
A debate with some critics, including Polanski and Jones. What did you learn?
I was a bit puzzled by it initially, because actually the thrust of our discussion was whether this was a good idea as an electoral strategy. There was actually a bit of a disagreement.
I like to think of Finkelstein as Andy Zaltzman's Wario.
Yes,
basically.
I think that's although it's limited, the idea of becoming effectively a red-green or red party with a progressive activist base is pretty sharp, I think, as the word I use. But I think what caused sort of anger was me saying that he wasn't in favour of growth. And I've had a lot of discussion with people...
Which is ironic, because he's seen the polling numbers grow enormously.
True. I mean, but the actual original statement that he made... Sorry, I'll start that again. The actual original statement that he made was that Zack Polanski thinks that growth is bad, that wealth and growth is bad. That's a different thing than what you're saying now, you know? Like, there is a difference between thinking growth is bad and being opposed to it, and the actual statement that he made, which was a reference to a previous interview with Zack Polanski, where he talked about GDP being a poor measure of the health of society. That doesn't necessarily mean you want GDP to go down or up. I mean, Alex Allen's pointed out that Zack's really kind of growth agnostic. If growth happens, fine, whatever, but we want to use these other metrics to describe the health of our society. But framing his position as an opposition to policies that are pro-growth is just totally untrue. That's just a total lie.
It's dishonesty, absolutely. Yeah, it annoys me when people, like, devoid of any context, will just say, well, the economy's going well because the stock exchange is up 4% or whatever. You're like, that means nothing. That means literally nothing. That means some rich billionaire who owns all of the stock that just improved and lives for the tax reasons in the Cayman Islands, but actually lives in New York or wherever, got richer today, whilst people can't afford to go and buy cheese. That's not a metric that you can use devoid of any other context to measure the health of the society or indeed the economy.
Exactly, and that's the thing, right? Is that I saw a Substack post that came out recently that was pointing, well, actually, in the UK, we had above average growth. We had about 2% growth from the 2010 till 2020. I'm like, yeah, and it was in house prices and in the financial sector. Yeah. Whereas now, the areas outside of London are poorer than Mississippi.
Yeah. Which is
poorer than Slovenia. I mean, Slovenia isn't even a poor country, right? But like, Mississippi is literally the poorest state in the United States. And if you live in an area outside of that. You live in Middlesbrough, you live in Keighley, you live in somewhere in the Midlands, you live in Buxton or whatever. And like, yeah, you're not rich. You're part of the growth that's being created, because if you pin one singular figure as your overall goal to the health of society, everything outside of that you completely miss. And that's the point that Gary's Economics makes, is that the high-profile economists of this country never took into account inequality, and they just go, well, line go up equals world more gooder, whilst actually not looking at the reality of what life was like on the ground.
True. And thank you. See, this is the difference between No Justice and I. She's really nice, because she wanted to say Birmingham, right? She wanted to say, if you're in Birmingham, you're probably poor, because it's shit. You can't even collect your bins, losers. But she didn't, because she's nice. Okay.
I mean, well, the difference, I guess, is because even if Birmingham has lots of poor areas, because Birmingham is a city, it's insulated from some of the other problems that have really had a real issue in the towns of the country, right? So I wanted to kind of stay away from saying Birmingham, Manchester, Leeds, because they have their poor areas, but they're still not as poor than old post-industrial areas in the north, like Halifax or whatever.
I was just doing a joke. I was just doing a bit. But and also it's a way of going, yeah, I am poor. And you can help that out with bits and subs and memberships and
you can do
super
that.
chats.
You can absolutely.
You can also do that because you also live outside of London and therefore are demonstrably poorer than necessary, and you can help No Justice out as well in those exact same ways.
That's a really good joke in chat from our rear end. Like, one man has 5 umbrellas, another man has no umbrellas. But together they have 2.5 umbrellas per capita. Therefore, the umbrella economy is going great. And if the guy with 5 doubles that to 10. We have had 100% growth, and the country has absolutely no issues whatsoever.
Well, has that one guy thought about pulling himself by his umbrella straps? If there are that many umbrellas around, why doesn't he have one? Lazy. The fact that the other guys were given their umbrellas by their granddads when they died is irrelevant. I don't see why that's relevant to anything.
Also, I just want to point out, King K Rule asked, am I not streaming on YouTube? Just today, because it's question time day.
Yeah.
People are saying, well, there are two people sets. Some people say, how dare you say he's not in favour of growth? He is in favour of growth. And the other half of people saying, how dare you be against growth? Because be in favour of growth is a bad thing, right? And obviously those aren't consistent.
Well, some growths are bad things. Cancer is a bad thing. And capitalism works on a similar premise of unlimited growth. It will definitely not kill the body it's on. Yeah.
But the irony, of course, here is that Daniel isn't even engaging with the actual critique.
No.
He is in. I mean, I'm not doubting that he saw those kind of critiques, right? I.e., the kind of people that he had in his mind's eye, which are people who think that growth is bad necessarily. That he put that opinion onto Zack Polanski, even though he doesn't have that. And then him saying, well, a bunch of people in the reply saying, who he is pro-growth, but that's also not true. The actual position is that he's ambivalent towards it because there are other metrics that he cares about. And Daniel's not engaging with the actual criticism here.
Yeah. But let's take the first of those. Obviously, I wasn't arguing that Zack Polanski was against the growth of like plants or people or...
What the fuck? This is pathetic. You're a child. Like, you talk about the adults in the room, you are a fucking child.
To be fairer to him and less flippant, that he wasn't in favour of the growth of, say, some index of happiness. But what obviously we meant by growth was economic growth, and the way that you measure economic growth is through GDP.
Is it? Is that the only measure?
Apparently, if you live in, like, central... like blinkered capitalism neoliberal world, right?
Yeah.
There are plenty of other... I mean, even the original progenitor of GDP as a measure, Simon Kuznets, has kind of moved away from it now.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. There are also, in terms of like the various price indexes as well, it depends what you measure. It's so frustrating because these people must know there are other ways of measuring it, and yet they've taken it as absolute orthodoxy that this is the way to go. There's like you say, it's blinkered. There's a blinkered kind of Westminster way of doing it. You can tell that with like chancellors and stuff, because they always, regardless of what would be politically efficacious or indeed good for the country, they always do what the fucking stupid orthodoxy within the exchequer is. Always. Or at least for the last 50 years, anyway. And it's been disastrous.
Zack Palansky wants to change the measure of GDP, but that's what GDP is at the moment, and he's not in favour of it growing. And I'm a bit puzzled
That's a lie.
that they were
That's
so...
a lie. That's just a total lie. Like, he's not in favour of it growing. He's totally ambivalent to this. He's still not saying the actual position.
Yeah.
Virulent and on the subject of being attacked on something that actually I would have thought they would want to promote, and seems to me a reasonable part of what is a fairly coherent political strategy. But it did occur to me that Zack Palansky, who's generally not somebody who kind of loses it, and who appeared to have done so in that response.
He said, how did he lose it? He said you look full of shit or whatever. That was it.
He said it was nauseating bollocks.
Yeah, like, that's... Is that the worst thing you've ever heard? I mean, you're Daniel Finkelstein, you must have heard worse. Like, you must have... Your own family must tell you more whack shit than that every day, because you're Daniel Finkelstein, a repugnant individual. Yeah.
I mean, one would assume that he is no stranger to the experience because he is someone who defends Israel on the internet. And whilst, of course, everyone here is well aware of my opinions on the state of Israel, even people who are pro-Israel must know that their opinions aren't popular, and that they are going to tell you have anti-Israel opinions. When he even posts things like, well, no, it categorically wouldn't have happened that the IDF shot a child. And I'm like, there is so much evidence.
Yeah.
You have to literally live in a bubble, a giant fucking Perspex box.
Yeah, he's
like David Blaine
he's like,
to not understand this.
He's asking to be bullied. He's literally begging to be bullied. He must get worse than that every single day. Yeah.
Possibly he's just smarter at social media than I am. And
you can remove the word possibly from that sentence. Like, come on.
He realised that he was getting a lot of engagement and getting a lot of, and he gets members through engagement. Again, I completely get it.
I think you're inclined to be kinder than I am. I mean, perhaps even a bit earnest. I find
you didn't need to suck his dick. Just give your opinion. You really didn't need to. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm all in favour of man-on-man action, but it was unnecessary for a child-friendly show.
I found that whole exchange depressing. I mean, genuinely depressing and almost...
Good. You deserve depression. Yeah.
And almost upsetting, because I was disappointed in Palansky. I had thought of Palansky. I quite like Zack Palansky. I don't obviously agree with him on things, but there are some things that he stands for that I do agree with, and I thought he was a good champion for them. And that whole thing made me realise that he's not in this to reach towards the centre and engage more green.
Yeah. What? Well, you thought he was in this to reach towards the centre. What part of his political life have you been watching exactly? Like, and this is the thing, the broader issue with this, like, oh, I like some of the things he's done. Basically, they want the Greens to shut up and just talk about green things. And don't talk about economics or anything. Just, like, go and grow some plants and pretend that you're a fucking hippie or something and be politically irrelevant. Once they're politically useful to the left and actually talking about economic issues which threaten the likes of this fucking Nepo baby scumfuck, all of a sudden, oh, he's terrible and awful. I thought he'd reach out to the middle. Why? Why did you think that?
As you said many times, right? Environmentalism without anti-capitalism is just fucking gardening.
It is, and that's exactly what they wanted to do. It's very much the equivalent of like the why doesn't LeBron James shut up and dribble? Why don't you shut up and go and make jam? Why don't you go and just go on your allotment and shut the fuck up? Once you start talking about economics, all of a sudden you're a danger, you're a threat, and they're afraid. They're
exactly,
very afraid.
And the thing as well is that when they say the centre, there's two things that are really myopic here. The first thing is that they believe that the way in which the general public look at politics is through entirely the realm of ideology, and then there's this big kind of morass of people who believe in centrist politics, when in reality people don't. People have issues and they want to see those issues get solved, and the job of a politician is to try and sell our ideological positions to those people to understand why that would solve those issues. The second of all problem here, the second thing that's myopic here, is that when they say centrists, they mean them. Yes. They mean Zack Palansky doesn't pander to our incredibly irritating political pundit class who are entirely obsessed with vibes, who are entirely obsessed with presentation. They are essentially like dogs who understand tone but not content. And that's why they're getting mad, going, oh, a politician isn't showing deference to us as the fearless fourth estate. How dare he? I'm like, no, he has voters to win. He has people to win, people who are quite frankly sick of your bullshit.
Yeah. There's a reason that he is ahead in the polls and the Labour Party and the Tory Party are dying. And Johnny Mac...
And Farage too. And Farage too, for the same reason.
Yeah. Johnny Mac points out that the green politics without socialism is just gardening was a quote by Chico Mendes. All right, there's no need to dunk on me. Yeah, there's nothing original under the sun. I'm not the new Karl Marx. I apologise. No, I'm only joking. Good on you.
But that's what I'm saying.
No, but I mean, what he's doing right now, what he used that for,
Is
he
it
used
to recruit
that
a certain type of person?
to show himself to be the guy.
He was
He used it to try and win support from members of the British public, like a fucking politician would do. Oh, that's cray-cray.
Look,
this is what's... And again, to your point about... This is not like the mid-90s anymore. The centrism thing has died. It died. Look, the cucks, right? Change UK should have shown that perfectly. It died on its arse before it ever got going. Centrist politics is not where it's at, okay? It hasn't been for a long time. And these people are so obsessed with this idea that you have to appeal only to this type of people, that they forget that in the last 2 months, you've had 2 left-wing insurgencies. You've had the Green Party go from nowhere to the 3rd largest party, possibly getting close to the 2nd largest party membership-wise in the country. You've had the Your Party, who've regardless of their fucking difficulties, have gotten past 50,000 members.
That's as many as the Lib Dems.
Yeah, that is a significant double whammy there. There is a sizable chunk of this nation, regardless of whether it's enough to ever win a majority in the Commons under first past the post or whatever, there is a very sizable chunk of this population who believe in, broadly speaking, leftist, social democratic, socialist politics that have not been catered to by these fuckers and have been totally ignored and seen as cranks and crazy bastards. But there's clearly millions of us. You can't ignore us forever, okay? We were the fleas you wanted to get rid of. We've left now. We've done our own fucking thing, and we're going to leave you anemic losers to fucking wither on the vine. Go for it.
It's true. And what's as well here is he's trying to claim that, well, Zack Polanski's doing this to try and represent the left rather than Jeremy Corbyn. And whilst there is certainly a degree of wanting the Green Party to be that singular voice of the people who are bought into the Corbynite prospectus for government in 2017, I think there's a lot of that. But the other thing that this specific interaction is about was the kind of derision shown towards the Fourth Estate and journalists. And I'm just like, Hugo Rifkin going, but I'm a journalist. I'm a respected member of the Fearless Fourth Estate. And I'm like, you should have a look, Hugo, at the polling that YouGov do around people's trust in certain institutions. Do you want to know the one that's right at the very bottom of this, even lower than the politicians themselves? It's journalists.
Yep.
Journalists are uniquely untrustworthy in this country. You never trust a British journalist, right? Never trust them.
No.
And with good reason.
Yeah.
And that's what Zack is tapping into, because a bunch of privately educated people who have ideas above their station, delusions of grandeur, like our permanent journalist class, like our media class, are due for plenty of derision that they have been able to avoid for far too long. And that's another thing that Zack is tapping into as well.
Yeah.
Can represent the left rather than Jeremy Corbyn.
He was proving my point, which is he is engaged in a fairly smart, fairly focused, social media driven strategy to turn the Greens into the main red party, appealing to about 15% of progressive activists with great success.
And not worry about the second category. I mean, not worried about the people who were always quite anti-growth, but for green reasons. In a sense, actually, he's not with them. He's not with them.
So your point of...
See, again, if you just talk about green issues, well, you're a single-issue party, you can shop. If you talk about anything else, why aren't you talking about the green issues? Why have you abandoned all of the nice fluffy greens that I accept and like? If ghouls like this think your opinions are worthwhile, you need to change your fucking opinions. Okay?
It's so true.
Like,
it's so
if you're the nice kind of fluffy green out in the middle of nowhere that Daniel Finkelstein can vibe with, I don't want you in this party. You're not worth anything. You're fucking... you're garbage. You're the gardener. Fuck off to your garden.
And this thing as well, she's also just lying again by saying, well, they're anti-growth. Just, why are we continuing with this? And second of all, this idea that those voters have been disabused from voting Green. This is just fundamentally untrue. It is completely untrue. I pointed out when I did this segment last time, and I'm going to point it out again right now. We have the second highest voting retention of any party in this country. The only party that is higher in terms of voter retention is Reform UK.
Yep.
Because most people who've been part of the Green Party, the kind of political policy that we're looking to put forward hasn't really changed. That was a big thing about the leadership election. People tried to paint it as though Ellie Chowns and Adrian Ramsey were standing on a liberal centrist ticket and Zack Polanski was standing on a radical socialist ticket. Well, neither of them were running on either of those things. They were running on a eco-socialist platform, which is the party policy that's been passed by membership, and the entirety of that was about communication. Was the actual election of the leadership, was how we communicate to the public. Adrian Ramsey supports wealth taxes. Ellie Chown supports wealth taxes. They supported everything that was in the manifesto. That's all decided by members. Zack is just much better at communicating it to people. And that's been the political policy of the Green Party for a very long time. We've always been a left-wing party. This idea that we've suddenly gone a Green Party gone red is nonsense. It's total nonsense, because we've always had socialists.
Well, exactly, yeah. It is total nonsense. Partly out of ignorance from these people, because they haven't taken notice when it was just Caroline Lucas fighting in the, a lone battle. They could just ignore her, but she was out there getting arrested outside of fracking demonstrations.
She calls herself a socialist.
Yeah, there's not. She wasn't like some quiet, nicey green, whatever, a hippie basically, which is what they want. They just want ineffective hippies to be the Green Party, and that's not what we're about. And that's not what we're going to fucking be about. You should be afraid. We're here to take over. Okay, democratically and legally and all the rest of it. Obviously, chat. Don't be silly. Yeah, so partly out of ignorance, and partly because they fundamentally don't understand the concept of party democracy. They believe that a party's leadership, very much in the vein of the Labour Party and Tory Party, should just dictate to everybody, and therefore it doesn't matter if you make a policy prescription when you run for office if you then lie about it, like say with, I don't know, every single thing that the current leadership of the Labour Party have done. Still making this the moral case for socialism, I see, Sir Keith. Anyway, yeah, the Green Party don't, Zack Polanski's opinion might be that he wants to leave NATO, but that's not what the party have voted for. That's not the policy or whatever. It's not what his personal beliefs are that are the party's opinions. They're voted for democratically at conference.
Exactly.
About which was at the beginning, they're not for the people who, what will the people think who used to vote Green? Maybe you could have been tempted, Hugo, to do that at some point.
Yeah.
And not by this strategy, but that's...
Well, just that alone, the fact that Hugo Rifkin went from maybe voting Green at some point theoretically in the future to never doing so is more than enough reason to support Zack Polanski. That's enough. Just driving the likes of Hugo Rifkin away from the Green Party is more than enough for me to say, Zack, you can use and abuse all of my holes. Fact.
And also, it shows you just the level to which these people are fucking ignorant. Is that they would potentially have voted for a party with incredibly radical in their minds economic positions. Of course, I don't think it's particularly radical. I'm a socialist, right? But they would consider these policies radical that's in the Green Party manifesto, and they're so completely removed from any actual political engagement with the policies, and they're so obsessed with vibes and appearances that they would have voted for that without even realizing. They would have been voting for what it has They've been voting for a party which does have pretty radical policies in their minds on certain things, because they thought, oh well, they're just cutesy environmentalists. They're in the box that I've put them in. I'm like, well, if you can't be bothered to read the fucking manifesto, that's your problem.
Yep.
It's because it's not for you.
It's not for them.
But it may be more successful than I think there's a lot of sense behind it, but I was just trying to understand it, and it was a bit surprising to me that he behaved in quite the way that he did. But then on the other hand, kind of there's sort of hive behind defending your political view against any sort of form of analysis that sounds even slightly critical from people who don't share it. That's so...
Oh yeah, whereas the media love being critiqued. That's one thing they're very well known for, the media establishment. They love people criticising them and never massively overreact to it and try and stamp it out in any form.
Very, very true. Very
Fact.
true. And again, the issue here is that your problem here is that you think that we're mad about having our opinions criticised. I'm like, no, it's just you don't know what our opinions are, and you completely misattributed what the opinions of Zack Polanski are, and you've still not acknowledged this fact.
Yeah.
Oh, social media, everyone does it.
Zack Polanski, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on to discuss your approach to growth and also whether you're smarter at social media than Danny. Who knows?
Wow, that was fucking awful. I'm glad we watched it though.
I mean, it was very funny to me. It was very funny to me.
Oh, yeah,
honestly,
they're in a completely different world, these people. Did they ever actually acknowledge and apologise for working with the yum-yum friend of the paedophile or not?
I don't know. What was interesting as well is I thought that, like, Daniel Finkelstein at least tried to engage with the social media strategy, and Hugo Rifkin just had a fucking meltdown about, oh, Zack Polanski's not being nice to the journalists.
He's being mean to you.
Which is honestly so funny, again, because despite my disagreements with Daniel Finkelstein, at the very least he's somebody who's been and done politics. Hugo Rifkin is literally totally talentless, no record of doing anything relevant in society ever, and has only ever been able to essentially steal a living because of the fact that he's a nepo baby. I think that was a really good example of why.
Have you considered that he came out of a set of bulls attached to a man who used to be politically relevant? Facts. Anyway, yes, I think we're done with these creatures for now. Yes, on to, I suppose, Birmingham, before we eventually get round to Sunderland, where Question Time took place yesterday. Couple of little tidbits. Firstly, there was a football game. What happened? Yes, Aston Villa Football Club, based in Birmingham, not a fan, but there we go, played Maccabi Tel Aviv of Israel, which again isn't in Europe and shouldn't be in FIFA or UEFA because of the whole genocide thing. Anyway, the game took place though, and Aston Villa won 2-0. There you go, lads. It's not as easy as just killing unarmed children, is it? Oof, crazy. Anyway, so that happened. Not a particularly exciting game, but then again, no one gave a fuck. The least interesting or worthwhile part of this story is the actual football that took place. No one cares. The stadium was...
What was the result?
Aston Villa won 2-0.
Well, there you go. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So it's, it's a lot easier when it's an unarmed hospital and you're in a fighter jet. There's that sort of thing. The stadium was like a third full, because even they sold more tickets than people who turned up. Because even people who had tickets didn't want to go to the area, because it was always going to be a shit show. As soon as they decided to lie, and it is demonstrably lies, the police have come out and said the reason that we banned Maccabi, or that we had originally banned Maccabi Tel Aviv fans from coming, was because of the overwhelming threat that they posed to the population of the area, because that they were known for going to foreign cities on Muslim hunts. There are lots of Muslims in the Handsworth area, the Aston area of the city. Yeah.
I mean, there was a clip that Sky News posted of the West Midlands Police representative very openly saying this, right?
Yeah.
Openly saying that Lisa Nandy lied to the House.
Yeah, Lisa Nandy lied to the House, the Prime Minister lied to the House, and everyone should remember that the British government were prepared to risk the lives of their own citizens in order to do the bidding of a genocidal foreign state because they want to sports wash the genocide that they are demonstrably still doing. Just remember that. Just remember that, chat.
Again, they are literally putting the lives of our citizens, the ones that they are sworn to protect as our representatives in Westminster, before the interest of Israel. They're literally turning on their own citizens to protect their emotional support ethno-state.
Indeed so. And as we see here, a member of the embassy team from the Israeli embassy, which, by the way, should be banned from Britain, but that's a different story, was in attendance at Villa Park, even though I'd been told by reliable sources, in quotation marks, that Jews had been banned. But apparently, they actually, if you were Jewish and you had a ticket, you could still attend, actually. That's a complete lie. They just
Exactly.
lied. Yeah. So, there was a ridiculous situation. Thankfully, the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans were banned, and so we didn't have murders, but there were still various arrests and things, which we don't really need to go into because it wasn't that big a deal overall. But what was sort of funny in a Keystone Cups kind of way was that there were, I think the police said there were 8 different protesting groups at various parts of the stadium, which they had to try and keep separate in a kind of game of like Jenga or something, like protest Jenga. I don't even know what it was. Where they had like various people who were either pro-Israel or pro-Palestine or anti-Israeli involvement in football, and then there was like far-right people who turned up to kick off, and then there were YouTubers who turned up for a fucking giggle, not realising that, like, you're likely to get fucking stabbed up, mate. Like, what? This isn't... You're not Mr. Beast, you fucking bellend. What do you think is going to happen here? One of them ended up getting arrested, basically for his own protection, because he was going up to people and putting microphones in their faces and saying, like, why do you support Hamas? Like, he was going to get done in. The police saved him, okay?
Please tell me it's Gideon Falter. That'd be so fucking funny.
I don't even know. It's Young Bob or some shit like that. I've never even heard of him, but apparently this is a thing he does. Right, so the game.
Oh, was it like Charles Veach or something? Was it?
No, it was Young. I think he's called Young Bob. The guy.
Oh, the Turning Point kid.
Yeah,
the one that you don't know whether he's a twink or a lesbian.
That guy. Yeah, that's the perfect description. Fuck me, yeah. Anyway, yeah, the police quote unquote arrested him. They didn't really arrest him. They put him in the van and drove him to a safe location. Because, like, if you're going to go around antagonising people, that's not a great situation. Like, in theory, you should be able to go up to any person and interview them on the street. That's true. But you got to be fucking sensible about it. This is a football match, lad. You don't just go up and start randomly chatting to people like that. You're going to get done in, you fucking knob. Anyway, so all of this happened, right? There was banter and some silly stuff. There were some people saying, look, now I'm not a person who ever wants to defend Aston Villa fans. I think they're scum. I would jettison them into the fucking sea. But some of them were criticised because they were singing songs about like you've protested now, fuck off type, things. What I will say is that football fans are essentially kind of experienced amateur wankers. They will sing to anyone about anything to get a rise. Like, you literally have people that they will sing about people's deaths. They will sing about people like accusations of homosexuality are very, very commonplace. You have people who will have a go at the way they look. If they've got a particular physical trait. One remembers oh god, what was his fucking name? Anyway, he had particularly protruding eyes, and people used to sing, his eyes are offside, his eyes are offside.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they'll sing about anything. So if the Maccabi Tel Aviv fan...
In a box, Lizzie's in a box.
Exactly, yeah. Mesut Ozil, that was him, yeah, he had particularly protruding eyes. Anyway.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
His eyes are offside.
Yeah, Diego Costa, who was a very ugly man, but they used to sing Diego Costa, the Elephant Man. Right? They will sing anything to anyone. Had the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans been in attendance, they'd have been singing about them being genocidal, baby-killing monsters, and seemed very woke and comradely. Because that's just what football fans do. You might not like it, and it's not always good, because like sometimes it's like singing about, tragedies where people died and stuff. Do you
think they would sing about fingering the corpse of dead fascists?
They go way worse than that. I mean, literally up to the point where Tottenham Hotspur, a team based in North London, have a large Jewish minority within their fan base. A large
true,
Jewish,
very true.
And people who aren't even really Nazis. They're just trying to get a rise out of them. Will do Nazi salutes to them. Because they're cunts. They're just cunts being cunty.
Assholes.
They're either high on drugs or drunk, and they're just cunts. That's just cunts being cunts, right? That's just the way it goes. So yeah, which team has a crab mascot? I don't think they do. I think you may have made that up. I don't think that's a real thing, but maybe there is.
I mean,
anyway.
now is the time. Now is the time to have a new football team that we're going to start, which have a crab mascot.
Let's
go. We'll have, and all of our chants will just be about dead fascists.
Yeah, no, I'm good with that. Yeah.
Which means we can add Dick Cheney to the fucking list.
Let's go. Love it. Of course, there were pro-Israel people who turned up. Josh Howie, notable Zionist piece of garbage, turned up to the event. There he is outside the stadium. And he says, well, this is very surreal. For our safety here as Jews, we've been put in a fenced pen. That sounds very serious, doesn't it, chat? That sounds
at the bar.
That sounds very, very serious. He's suggesting that specifically they went around looking for Jewish people and they put them in a kind of concentration camp pen. Which, if that were true, would be fucking abysmal. That would be one of the darkest days in modern British history.
It would be, absolutely.
Except there's a small detail here. Firstly, it was regardless of whether they were Jewish or not. It was specifically if they wanted to attend this counter protest. Right? This was the place where they were to meet. And that place is here. It's Whitton Lane basketball court. It's literally a basketball court which is open to the public 24/7, which has a fence around it so that if the basketball goes off to the side, you don't have children running into the fucking road! He was stood on a basketball court and was free to leave at any moment.
And the thing is, that's the problem, is that, again, I have to talk so often about how little our political class understand the idea of protest. First of all, like, the intentions behind it. But second of all, they've never been on protests. So they don't know. Yeah, if you go to a protest, the police tell you where you have to protest. They do things called kettling. Yeah. Right? That's what's happening to you. The thing that you keep saying should happen to lefties who protest is happening to you because now you're protesting, right? Yeah, well done. Well, welcome to Crowd Control 101 Metropolitan Police Edition, or West Midlands Police.
Indeed. And they specifically asked them to arrange to meet there and then be marched up the road so they could do their counter-protest, because on a match day, as you can see there on the right, those are the turnstiles. So you have large groups of people queuing up in the middle of the road and trying to move up and down this particular stretch of road to the point where it's basically unnavigable by car. So if you have hundreds of other dickheads just stood there in the middle of the street, what you have is a very significant flow blockage to a very high-density public area. People would be crushed to death.
And given that the whole point of these protests is because they really want people to be able to go and watch the game, he seems really desperate for their crowd of protesters to specifically stop people from watching the game.
Yeah, a bit weird and a bit stupid. And, like, this is what
he's a GB News guy. Of course he's stupid.
Yeah. This is what we mean by the cry bully tactics, lads. Like, this is embarrassing. You tried to make out like you'd been penned away in a concentration camp for being a Jew. You hadn't. You were stood on a basketball court. That's it. You were stood on a piece of concrete perfectly peacefully and were protected by the hundreds of extra police officers which had been hired to specifically keep you safe. And you walked out of it perfectly fine. Count yourself lucky.
And you say, for our safety here as Jews. I'm like, no, for your safety there as the group of counter-protesters. That is the singular uniting characteristic of everybody there. Because, again, this happens at every protest. When Stand Up to Racism are counter-protesting the migrant hotel protests or whatever, they are specifically put in particular areas so that they don't fight each other.
Yeah.
Because tensions are very high.
And you can tell he wasn't there to watch the football, or he's a real football fan, because the police treated him nicely. Whereas the police treat football fans like absolute scum every week. So, again, count yourself lucky. Yes. Now, one small other tidbit from Birmingham, if you'll allow me a piece of nonsense. Did you see this piece of polling today? Find Out Now UK.
I did see that, yeah.
Not the most reliable, but, you know, better than More in Common, certainly. Had these numbers: 33 for Reform, 18 for the Greens in second again, the Tories on 16, Labour on 15, their lowest, like, basically ever.
Ever, yeah.
Yeah, rubbish, right? And this would be the breakdown of it. The ludicrous situation of having the Lib Dems in 5th place, getting the second most seats. Honestly, what a great...
Official opposition.
What a great fucking electoral system you have here, lads. Bravo. And the seats that the Greens are predicted to win. Boom. Birmingham, Sally Oak. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, what's that got to do with anything, Kev? if you'll allow me to dox myself, that's where I fucking live!
You should stand for the MP.
Shit.
Kevin.
Well, no, because they definitely won't win if I do. So, like, that shit just got real. Shit just got proper real. Because that would be... There's nearly a 12,000 seat vote majority here for the Labour Party.
Well, they're losing more than half of their vote share.
That's
They're going from 33
mental.
down to 15.
Yeah. Fuck it. I mean, it would be the only seat they'd win in Birmingham, but, like, that's fucking wild. If I end up with a Green MP, honestly, it would be Mamdani-esque on a personal level. Genuinely, it would be fucking wonderful. Wonderful to say. And I'm very much here for it. And it doesn't help the Labour Party, of course, that they fucking parachuted in a knobhead who's never been to the city. I don't think he's been back since being elected, frankly. I've never seen him. No one knows who the fuck he is. Al Carnes, he's the Veterans Minister. He couldn't give a shit about the area. He's probably going to lose. Lol. Anyway, should we do question time?
Yes, shall we do that? Oh, should we? Yeah, let's do that. We've been going for an hour.
For fuck's sake.
I mean, I think we spent like over half an hour on a 4-minute clip of video from the Times.
Yeah, good luck editing that one.
There was just so much.
Yeah.
There was just so much that was necessary for us to get through to be able to unpick the shit they were saying.
True.
Tonight, question time has come to Sunderland. A city once world famous for shipbuilding and glass making.
Whereas now it's famous for the place that Femi went to save Brexit. Or to save Britain from Brexit or whatever. Yeah. Brilliant.
Now the headquarters of Nissan in the UK is also home to the mighty Black Cats, who after a couple of lean years are riding high in the Premier League. And our audience members arriving here this evening, as every week, reflect the general political picture across the nation. And they want to ask, why is it so hard to keep prisoners in prison? Rachel Reeves, should she quit?
God, yeah. Fucking hell. Another 2 of them. They've both been caught again, but, like, do they keep records of who's supposed to be in prison and who's supposed to be released? Or do they just guess? Look, statistically, some of them are probably due for release, so if we just let out eeny, meeny, miny about that dude, yeah, that's fine.
I mean, keeping those lists, Kevin, would involve the state spending money on those things, and that's student politics.
True, but have we thought about outsourcing it to Palantir? Get AI to do it.
Your G4X.
Let's go.
If she raises taxes, and with the big climate conference taking place in Brazil, should we be doing more here to prevent climate change? Welcome to Question Time in Sunderland.
Well, thankfully, in the week that the COP thing is happening in Brazil, and obviously the Prime Minister has gone over there and the rest of it, the Chancellor has decided to leak out to the public that she's going to start charging by the mile just for electric vehicles. Like, are you fucking joking? I mean, just burn the planet down. Just cover it in kerosene and fucking burn it. They're trying to lose. They are actually trying to lose.
Fucking incredible thing Popey's pointing out in chat here. Apparently someone a while ago was released because one of their mates emailed the prison claiming to be the Home Office and told them to release them, and they just...
Oh, God. No wonder the Times just went, oh yeah, that's definitely Bill de Blasio, the former mayor of New York. Because apparently you can just go, yeah, no, hello, I am the Home Secretary, spelt wrong. You know, please release Dave Smith of B-Wing, Pentonville Prison, please.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm calling from your building society.
George Adorowengo. Yeah.
I can't believe that story.
Fucking mental. Absolutely. Although, it's not just Britain. It's not just Britain. Did you read the fantastic story from France this week? You know, they had the break-in at the Louvre and they stole all the royal jewels and all that shit, right? Do you know one of the reasons they were able to get around the security system? Because they hacked into the security system because one of the passwords necessary was Louvre. One of the passwords at the Louvre was Louvre. I mean, why not just say le password, you dopey bastards? It's the entire world actually just run by idiots and we think they're competent? Because most of the time you don't get broken into. Like, what?
I mean, to be fair, Peter Kyle used to be the Science and Technology Secretary, so literally you can be fucking anyone. Anyone can be in charge of this shit.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah, which actually, yeah, you know what we should do? We should send an email to the Chancellor saying that we're a Nigerian prince. We could make fucking billions. That's the way to do it.
Anna Turley. She is chair of the Labour Party and a Cabinet Office Minister. She's also the MP for Redcar, just down the coast in North Yorkshire. Graham Stewart
and
was
she's
the
also
Conservative Net Zero.
She's also member of Labour Friends of Israel.
Yay!
She went to private school and she went to Oxford.
So it's like the one from last week, or was it the week before, that was like, oh, she's a Yorkshire lass who grew up in like the posh bit of Ireland and went to a private school. What?
Literally.
Yeah.
I believe Graham Stewart is the one that we're talking about here. I think that's also somebody who is from a private school. I went to Oxford. Oh, Anna Turley, by the way. Excellent article here from Labour List, which said she used to be the MP for Redcar up to 2019, but she lost in the 2019 general election. She helped run a food bank during the pandemic and served as a sports consultant to the Betting and Gaming Council, the gambling industry's main lobby group, writing a sponsored piece in the New Statesman arguing against limits on betting, claiming such move would alienate Red Wall voters. So she is quite literally
Scum.
Yeah, scum. She's scum. Like, she literally wants to destroy working class communities by getting them hooked on gambling so that she can make money as a lobbyist.
Absolute
What a fucking vile individual.
Indeed, so why gamble when you can give us money? Like Nick the Peasant did. Thank you for being a member for 8 months. Much love to you. What was I going to say? Why does this guy look like the head puppet thing from Art Attack? Does anyone remember that?
He does!
Yeah.
He does! He does look like the boss from Art Attack.
Yeah.
Zero Minister under Rishi Sunak and led the UK delegation of COP28 in Dubai. Paul
another
Novak
one.
Is the General Secretary of the Trade
Another
Union
thing for Anna Turley. Another thing for Anna Turley, like just an absolute fucking cavalcade of awful people. She later became the associate director at political lobbying firm Arden Strategies, which has specifically connected Labour's top teams with arms firms and energy bosses, and it's also been that apparently one of the clients that has ties to Israel.
Yay!
Graham Stewart was Cambridge, not Oxford, by the way, but he did also go to private school.
Well, they're wankers. It hardly matters.
Congress representing 47 unions with 5.5 million members. And Tim Stanley is a columnist for the Daily Telegraph and his story.
Do you think this is the first time he's ever been to Sunderland? There's no way he's ever been to Sunderland before in his life.
Also, what I will say is that it's incredible the Labour and Tory MPs both went to private schools. This guy didn't. Tim Stanley did not go to private school.
Which is mad how posh he sounds. But there you go. Yeah.
Went to Cambridge.
Well, yeah,
but, like so, there's 3 Oxbridge grads here, but no, this guy just went to a grammar school, so technically a state school.
Okay.
Daily Tea podcast.
The Daily Tea podcast. Is he a king? What's going on there? He doesn't look. He doesn't look like
Telegraphs.
It. Oh, sorry. I thought you meant he was trans. Oh, okay.
No, it's the Telegraph. Like all of the newspapers have podcasts now. Do you know what the Sunday Express podcast is called? The Sunday Espresso.
Oh,
which pains me.
Fucking kill me in Minecraft.
Good evening. Welcome to our panelists. Welcome to our audience here in Sunderland. Very nice to see you all, and welcome to you at home as well. Joining the conversation on social media, or just sit back and watch the programme, whichever is your preference. Right, let's kick off with our first question, which is from Lynn Johnson.
Hello. I just wanted to know, how hard can it be to keep the correct prisoners in prison?
Well,
You think that would be one of the main things that prisons have to do, is keep the prisoners inside the prison, right? But yeah, apparently it's a lot more tricky than you'd think.
I mean, what I will say is that when this story broke, somebody pointed out there have been like 300 escapees from prison. I'm like, why is it only the 2 migrants that we know the names and faces of?
Yeah, indeed.
Also, if you look here at other countries, there have also been similar numbers of prison escapes in France, for example, like 400 odds in 2022 or something.
Yeah, but that's
600...
because the password for the exit thing was prison.
The prison.
Yeah, so.
But again, so I mean, there are always going to be prison escapes, and this has now become a hot button topic.
Yeah, but these aren't
there
even
were some migrants that escaped.
But the problem is, it's not even escapes; they're being let out. Like,
that's true.
Escapes are obviously kind of a part of the course with jails, because people don't want to be in the jail. It's when you go, no, you have to leave now, and they're like, are you sure?
I mean, like, what's crazy, Tom Harwood on Twitter brought up one guy who handed himself in called Billy Smith, and then said, well, an Afghan person who was let out hasn't handed himself in. I wonder which one obeys the social contract more. And I'm like, first of all, why are we having top trumps in terms of escaped convicts? And second of all, Hadush Kabatu, the Ethiopian asylum seeker who was found guilty of attempting to sexual assault somebody, that was the guy who also tried to hand himself in multiple times. You're going to defend Hadush Kabatu for his adherence to the social contract, Tom? Or are you just going to try and delineate between white and brown people?
Exactly, but I mean, look, come on now. At least he's an honest rapist. Is that your line, Tom? Is that what you're going to go with, mate?
Well, you'd have to assume so.
So, 2 prisoners released accidentally from Wandsworth Prison in the last week. I mean, there have been others, as we know. Even though the Justice Secretary, David Lammy, said he'd introduced the strongest checks ever to prevent such a thing. Anna?
Yeah, but he's a dickhead, because he stood at the fucking dispatch box for Prime Minister's questions, and he didn't even have a poppy on! Loser! Literally true, by the way. He quite clearly, yeah. No, he forgot to put a poppy on. But he said his excuse was he bought a new suit and forgot to change over his... Buy lots of poppies. Buy 1 million poppies and you never not got a poppy.
I mean, you're on 160k a year, David. You can afford more poppies.
Exactly. If you loved Britain, you'd buy all the poppies.
I completely agree. I cannot understand how this is able to happen. It's been absolutely shocking. The first incident that really came to light a few weeks ago was shocking enough, but to now hear not only are there other incidents, but this is something that is happening and has been happening for many years.
Oh, that would be amazing. Someone needs to make that happen. Who said this in chat? Hang on. Where is it? Sorry, in a Morgan Freeman voice. Andy Dufresne, who walked to the front door and was let out without any question. Yeah. Someone needs to make that Shawshank Redemption edit. That needs to happen. That needs to have already happened. Put it in my face. Love it.
Years, almost on a monthly basis. This is not how we expect our criminal justice system to run. We want to feel safe and secure in our communities. So I'm really astounded that this has just been almost accepted as a sort of state of natural disorder, and it's not acceptable. I'm really glad that David Lammy is...
You say it's been accepted. Is anyone here accepting it?
Within this, yeah, within this.
No, I think she's going to say within Westminster we've accepted it, so that's fine. Everyone moves on. Whereas the whole country's like, can you stop letting rapists out, please? For the love of God.
I mean, it's so frustrating, and the discussion and debate in this country is so right-wing that even the Labour Party are being treated as though they're being left-wing, and so I have to defend them on really kind of basic stuff. And I don't want to have to, but I'm going to have to, insofar as people are trying to say that David Lammy is somehow the person who's at fault for the state of the prison system. I'm like, excuse me? Who was the one who cut capital expenditure in our prison system for like 14 years when they're in government?
Yep.
Who were the ones who didn't build any new prisons during that period and had to keep open prisons that should have been closed? because of the fact that they'd refused to be able to put capital investment to upgrade our inventory. Who were the people who literally had to call an early election because they might have broken the law in terms of their failure to manage the prison population in this country? Like Alex Chalk, bless him, like one of the only Tories who had a real conscience, was literally trying to get contact with Rishi Sunak to say, look, things are really fucked. We need to sort this shit out now, otherwise there will be professional consequences of this. And Sunak's response was essentially, lol, let's call an election and leave that on the plate for the next prison minister, the next justice secretary. And they just, that's the reason we're in this position, is because of the Conservative Party's complete fucking allergy to public spending in any realm. I'm a leftist. I don't necessarily believe that the prison system or the criminal justice system is fit for purpose in any regard, right? But given this is the system that we've got, we've decided for a caste rule system, we've decided for some level of between retributive and restorative justice in terms of how we deal with people who commit crimes. And the response of the people who actually believe in this is to cut police numbers, to cut prison investment, and to cut social investment that would be able to take these people out of doing these crimes in the first place. All of those things gone because of the David Cameron and George Osborne fucking insane policy prospectus from 2010 onwards. The absolutely balmy economic vandalism that's left us in this position. Labour have been in charge for just over a year. I'm sorry, it takes more than that time to fund, get planning permission for, and actually build a fucking prison, which is what we need. We need to build more capacity, and that requires capital investment, which the Labour Party aren't doing enough of course, in my opinion, but the Conservative Party did literally zero of, and cut loads of plans for increase in expenditure on the prison system that was put under the budget by Alistair Darling. It's indefensible for the Conservative Party to blame anyone but themselves.
It seems to be that this is just how things run, with this sort of chaos, and it's shocking. So for me, I can't understand in this day and age why we're still having people carrying huge boxes of paperwork around, how things can get lost. I don't understand why there aren't second and third checks. So I know that the Justice Secretary has called all the prison officers in to discuss it with him this week, but I think we need an urgent review of this. I know he's undertaking that, but we cannot allow this to go on, and I'm not going to sit here and point at other parties, because this has been going on for some time. We have to take responsibility for it now. We have to invest in our prisons, our justice system, and David Lammy is absolutely determined to do that.
Well, listen, you mentioned David Lammy. Just clear up one thing for me, because after I mean, this kind of came to... This has been happening for years, as you say, but it came to prominence with a man called Hadush Kabati, who was accidentally released. David Lammy, the Justice Secretary, said he had introduced stronger checks before inmates were released, and he said they would be effective immediately on the 27th of October. 2 days later, the 29th of October, when Sharif was released accidentally, David Lammy said, he said it only the other day, actually, those checks were not in place. Now, both those things...
Jesus Christ, Lammy, you are a knob. You are actually a knobhead. Because that is on him. If you say they're going to be, I've implemented them and they're effective immediately, then 2 days later it happens again, you're kind of fucked, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Like, just another communications problem from the Labour Party of just saying things that they believe are politically efficacious and then being bit on the arse like immediately afterwards. It's just like with the Peter Mandels and stuff. We have full confidence. The Times have dropped new emails 2 days later, or Bloomberg, wherever it was, and now you're going to have to sack him. Just endless levels to which that they don't seem to think that words have value, and that the only things they ever need to say are what they think will be able to win them votes, rather than what is good for the country, or indeed good in the long term.
Yeah. Mr. Prime Minister, a second yum-yum has hit the Mandelson.
Cannot be true. Were they in place, as he said, on the 27th of October, or were they actually not in place by the 29th of October?
He's obviously called for them to be in place by the 27th of October, and the fact
he said they were in place.
Well, he doesn't get to call for things. He's the fucking minister. He puts them in place. You call for things when you're not the person in position of authority. He should implement that shit. He called for it like he's just some helpless monster. Like, he's just a small bean. He doesn't have the run of the fucking justice system. Yes, he does. He's the justice minister. Do your fucking job.
Those two things cannot both be true.
So they obviously weren't in place because something's happened. But
even though he said they were, and the Minister of Justice put out a statement saying they were.
But yeah, so he's called for that to happen, and it's clearly not happened. So something is going fundamentally wrong in the system.
He didn't call for it to happen. In fairness, he said it was happening.
Okay, well, he obviously, as Secretary of State so often, I'm sure you put out saying this is going to happen from now onwards, and there's obviously such an issue with our system, the chaos that it's in. This cannot continue, and I think this.
See, when you're Justice Minister, you just lie. You know how that's totally normal. That's fine. You just lie and say something's happened when it hasn't happened yet. That's fine and normal. Brilliant. Honest to God. I mean, I think the Tories actually played a decent hand on this in PMQs. Not that it matters because it's PMQs and it's the Tories, so who gives a fuck. But he Paxmaned him from the dispatch box. He literally asked him the same question 6 times. He just said... did you watch it at all? It was fucking. It was amazing.
I didn't know.
Yeah, because they had. It was Lammy was representing Labour because he's fucked off to Brazil for the COP thing.
COP, yeah.
And they had I don't even know, like the Junior Justice Shadow or whatever, who literally stood up and asked him the same question 6 times, which was, "Can you guarantee that no other foreign prisoners have been released wrongly?" And Lammy refused to answer, so he just got up and went, "I'll ask him again." And asked him the same question again 6 fucking times. It was brilliant.
Honestly, why Kemi Badenoch is just the worst. He's terrible at this.
Yeah.
Just get that guy. Get that guy to do it every time.
Yeah. They were were both better. Fucking even though he didn't answer the questions, at least he had some semblance of like, not even riz, just some oomph about
good humour.
Him. Yeah, like Lammy's at least sort of comes across vaguely like a person rather than a robot. You know?
That's true. But the thing is, also, it is kind of a stupid question. Can you guarantee that none of them are going to be released? I can't guarantee anything. I'm not God. I'm not like
but that's but you can't answer that because that's exactly the answer the Tories want. See, the system's in chaos. He can't even guarantee your safety. David Lammy wants you to be raped by Abdul. You know, that's the thing. That's the answer they want. So he can't say that. And he also can't say, no, that definitely hasn't happened, because that would be an obvious lie. Because it's like, it obviously has happened. So he has to just sort of skate around the issue and just go, you didn't invest for 14 years. 6 times. Basically.
Which is true. Yeah,
well, it is true, but it's also not remotely the answer to the question that was asked 6 times.
For me, I look at this feels like another rock that we've lifted up, and there's just such a mess underneath that we've got to sort out. I feel like our public services have been eroded over so many years that they're in a state of chaos, and there are lots of good people working within that system, but they're just not able to do it because they're overstretched. They're absolutely, pushed to rack and ruin, and now they're struggling to really get a grip of the system, and we haven't put the infrastructure in place to support them.
Graham.
I thought we were going to the audience. If one person is released from prison who shouldn't be by accident, that's unacceptable, isn't it? And the truth is, Anna's quite right about that. The number...
Okay, how many were released when you were in government? It was about the same.
Let's have a look.
It was about the same sort of rate, wasn't it? You
know. Number of prisoners escapes per year. UK. Let's have a look, shall we?
I imagine the escapes were higher because the walls of the prisons kept falling down. So they just walked out of the hole in the side of the prison.
Prison wrong releases, probably. See if we get that. In the 12 months up to March 2025, there were 262, compared with 115 in the previous year. So when the Tories were in government, there was actually fewer in the year before. There's actually a whole ass article from the BBC about prison releases, which I realise I have backwards because it's question time, but whatever. I'll put it up later.
Yeah. But either way, lots is the answer. Because the private companies that run a lot of these fucking prisons don't really care.
But yeah, like there were always accidental releases. This happens all the time, every year.
Yep.
It just happens to be a salient issue now because, first of all, one of the accidental releases was quite literally Hadish Kabati, and second of all, the media are trying to hype this up because of the fact that they can literally just put migrant anywhere in their article or in their video or their piece of journalism, and 1 million people will click on it because it's the hot button issue.
Yep.
Released in the first year since...
But we never talk about migration, ever!
Labour came to power, and this is an interesting thing to investigate, is more than the previous 3 years. So something has gone badly wrong since Labour and now David Lammy are in charge. And of course, he came to the House of Commons. He was asked 5 times to be open.
Sorry, I said 6. Inflation. Inflation's a bastard, you know.
About it. And we thought maybe he didn't know. Turned out he'd been told the night before. He then claimed in PMQs that he was out buying a suit in the morning. So he'd been told that people had been let out. He then said he was buying a suit.
No way. A Labour government minister lied to the House of Commons. I'm sure absolutely nothing will happen to them.
Apparently that story has changed as well. They really are, I think, the most dishonest government I've ever come across. And you may think that we set a bar there at times. And I'd understand.
Jesus Christ, mate, you didn't have to burn yourself. I mean, true, but yeah. That's a good question, though. Who do we think is more dishonest? Because they're both pretty bad. They are, I think we can say, fundamentally the 2 most dishonest governments ever. Was it the Tories in the last sort of, 14 years or these lot?
I mean, it's quite the contest.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's day after day, isn't it? I mean,
but hang on, let's talk about your record, Graham. Let's talk about your record. I mean, at best, when the Conservatives were in power, there was 1 accidental prisoner released a week. When it was at its worst, it was 2 a week. And
Jesus Christ! 2 a week?
So 700 a year. No, so 2 a week, so it's 100 a year, 100 a year, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm thinking days.
Yeah, 100 and... let's go with roughly 100. Probably, well, that was at its height, so let's say 80 odd, 90 odd, probably, in a year.
Yes, there has been a lot. There's been a lot of prison accidental releases.
And that's accidental releases on top of escapes as well.
Yeah, so it is broadly a problem of both political parties here, and anyone pointing fingers refuses to take this situation and this issue with the seriousness that it deserves.
Yeah.
7,000 prisoners officers left the service.
Every single one of those is unacceptable, Fiona, and that's what I said. Every single one. More than 3 years worth in 1 year since Labour came to power. So it's not this idea which Anna tried to peddle that somehow we've got these broken public services and they're going to fix the foundations. And that story, we've heard so much of that. The truth is, everything has got worse. More people released in error in 1 year than in the previous 3 years, even though anyone being released accidentally is unacceptable. And then we have a Secretary of State, no less than a Deputy Prime Minister, in the House of Commons answering to the people and refusing to answer the question, even though in the file in front of it.
And literally, right at the end of Prime Minister's questions, they did point of order, which, as always, was never actually a point of order, where they went, it's been reported by the Telegraph that they've released another person, blah, blah, blah. Does he want to answer? And the Speaker literally said to Lammy as he was getting up to leave, do you want to answer that? And he went, no, and walked out.
Honestly, Chad behaviour.
Yeah, no, to be fair, you've got to have balls in that position, I suppose. Just go, no, I don't want to. Toodles. I'm going for a fucking pint.
Oh, wow. Oh, I've got a hint up for in chat. It says, I'm Indian and we are the good ones, and they're not. They imported people from the worst countries. I'm like, hang a minute.
Hang on. If you're Hindutva, aren't you supposed to pretend to be Israeli?
True. You've got no. You're pro-Israel, but you pretend to be from the West, and you have a Roman statue AVI profile picture.
Yes, that is the way it works. That is, I mean, unfortunately, you've forgot to switch to your alt account, mate. It's a shame.
Oh no, they said actually no. They're not even Hindutva. Sorry, I misread the message. The message was, I am Indian, and I can say we are not civilized people, and we are the good ones. They imported people from the worst countries. I mean, it's incredible to be a white supremacist as somebody who's...
I just feel bad for them. We're the bad ones.
No, they say that they're not civilized, but they're also the good ones.
Okay, so they say you're not civilized.
I know. I was like, I know I'm an ethnic minority and I'm bad, but at least I'm not even worse, like the people from the other brown countries.
You know what, friend? I hope they pick you because you're trying. You're blatantly trying, and I hope that this act works for you. You'll definitely not go to the camps with the rest of us.
I'm intrigued now. It's true though, we Indians are uncivilized, and I'm just like, well, a lot of you vote for the BJP. I will say that, but I don't think that makes Indian people as a race uncivilized. I just think that that's a nation caught up in fascism.
Also, any nation that can produce batsmanship of the quality of Sachin Tendulkar has to have some civilization to it.
Literally.
You know.
100%. And, you know, people like Jawaharlal Nehru are incredible kind of statesmen of history.
Yep.
And I'll happily take a free trip to Kerala. I think it's a very civilized society.
Yeah.
Under the watchful eye of the CPIM.
Yeah, Communist Party who eradicated extreme poverty. Go figure. How did they manage that? I was told it was impossible. But there we go. You still there? Hello?
Yeah. Sorry.
Sorry.
I was nodding in agreement and realised you can't see me.
I can't. No.
He actually had the details. We've got a government which promised to be more transparent, to be more open, to set higher standards than they'd seen under the Conservatives, and they've done the exact opposite. And they're resigning week after week. And we're barely going to even mention today that the Chancellor of the Exchequer committed a criminal offence in collecting rent for a year without getting a licence. A licence which she first of all said, a bit like David Lammy, she didn't know about. She and her husband didn't know they had to have one. Then it turned out that 2 agents, not one, had told them they did.
Hang on.
They collected rent for a year, and she didn't resign either. The whole thing is a mess. It's about trust.
The estate agent.
No, to be fair, I think let him cook on that one. Because the whole point is they can't be trusted with this shit. They're liars. So bringing up another example of them lying is fine.
I mean, that's the thing. The problem, of course, is that his opposition here is that, isn't it terrible that she operated this thing without a license? And I'm like, I am definitely not one of the you got a license for that type people. How about criticize her for being a fucking landlord?
Yeah. What the is that real? What the there's no way he wrote this. Keir Starmer, I played violin with Fatboy Slim. Why every child should learn music. In an opinion piece of the iPaper, the Prime Minister argues that music lessons are as vital for school pupils as other subjects. I played violin with Fatboy Slim. I'm sure that'll definitely win everyone round, mate. Yeah. Genius.
Just stop touching things that I like, Keith. You're ruining them. Music is important for kids, but now everyone's going to hate it because you're associated with it. Fuck.
Exactly. You're not making politics better. You're just making music worse. Stop it. Unbelievable. Okay. Fair enough. Well, I'm sure the people of the Red Wall will love that. So let's call an election now. You'll win, I'm sure.
In the case of Rachel Reeves, basically said it was our fault. We said we'd do it on her behalf, and we didn't. That's what emerged.
The law, Fiona. If that's your role is to play setting out the objective truth, the law is that it is the responsibility of the landlord. Landlords lose their houses and their livelihood.
And literally...
Based!
I did not see the Conservative Mao arc coming. But you know what? I'm very much here for it. But no, I literally paused because I was going to say before he went on that little weird rant, that in no other situation is ignorance an excuse. You can't say, I didn't know the law, because that's tough shit. You still broke the law. You go to prison or you get fined or whatever the punishment is. But she's
the punishment for this one is that she could potentially have to pay back £30,000 in back rent. 12 months is the penalty in Southwark for not having the license, which would be incredibly hilarious.
30 grand for a year's rent.
Oh yeah, it's £3,000.
Is this a fucking castle? Is she renting it? Oh, it's mental, is what it is.
Because they have that personal responsibility. How is it that anyone in this audience would be prosecuted for a crime, but if you're the Chancellor of the Exchequer, apparently even you at the BBC are saying, oh no, it was someone else's fault, they just broke a rule. It wasn't a rule,
Graham
it was a law.
Stewart, even we at the BBC are saying that. I am simply quoting the estate agent.
As to the point we were making earlier about the media being hated, the media are so hated that just having a pointless dig at the BBC will get you an applause, even if you're in Sunderland and you're a Tory.
That's true. Also crazy as well is that It's really easy to hate on the BBC, and it's usually hated by people who are like, I don't watch the BBC, I read the Daily Express, and I watch Talk TV, and I'm just like, mate, come on.
Yeah.
Not my words, they're the words of the estate agent in question.
The
Please do
estate
not...
agent is...
Not my words, the words of... Oh, shit.
Shakin' Stevens?
No, Top Gear magazine was going to be the reference. I forgot the reference.
Both good references.
Yes.
Wait!
The lawyer.
Please do not put those words into my mouth.
We all heard.
Because you know
we
full
all
well,
heard what you said, Fiona.
Yeah, I'm quoting the estate agent. The man at the back in the white shirt.
My concern is if David Lammy is the Deputy Prime Minister and he gives his word that something's in place, and it clearly wasn't, then as a Labour voter myself, and I hate to say this, then I can't trust what you tell me. I should have the categorical assurance of you're telling me from that position of power that that's in place, and it clearly wasn't, then why should I trust you?
I know you want to come back.
Whilst I am certainly got a little bit of sympathy for what he's saying here, you quite literally voted for Keir Starmer. Like, you're a Labour voter, and you're like, how can we trust if people are going to lie to us or not? And I'm like, you've literally elected to be Prime Minister, the biggest liar in British political history.
Yep, it's a fair point. You can't argue with it.
You did kind of get what you wanted.
Yep.
There's a man at the back. I can see the arm, but I can't see who it's attached to. Yes, you with the glasses, I think.
Yeah, it's all fair, fine and well, playing the sort of whataboutism game about...
Wow, what a thick Sunderland accent you have.
Labour's figures being higher in terms of releases than the Conservatives. But if one is too many, then why in 15 years did more than one ever happen?
Yeah. How?
Yeah, the Tories are shit. Yeah, we know. Yeah.
Lack of capital investment. Again, it's super simple. I mean, what's so frustrating here is we're having, reasonable conversations about trust and about standards or whatever it is, and at no point we're talking about state capacity, which is the whole issue here. Like, Aaron Bastani made a really good point when it was just like, well, looking into the Axel Rudder-Cabana murder, there's like, he reported himself to the social services and to the police multiple times saying, I feel like I want to kill somebody. Nothing was done. In loads of other cases where people have openly expressed like violent urges who report themselves to the authorities, nothing gets done. In our prison system, we literally had to release thousands of people early because there was not enough space because we'd not put the money in. We have hotels full of people waiting for asylum claims because in the time the Tories were in government, they slashed expenditure on asylum caseworkers and didn't build any actual purpose-built accommodation for asylum seekers, which they could have done and didn't because they were not spending any money and they were reducing state capacity.
It's a really straightforward argument for an actual Labour Party to make. If you want a functioning state, you have to fund the functioning of that state. It's a very simple, straightforward. Even if you're not going on about like renationalising stuff, just if you want a basic state that works, you want prisons, you want roads and hospitals and things. Like, you have to actually put money into that. We need to stop pretending you can't.
And the Tories are still going further on this, right? People are talking about the hero from the LNER train attack. Samir something, I forget his name now.
Yeah.
Was a train guard, essentially, and he was a hero train guard who intervened to detain the attacker. And the Tories, when they were in government, spent ages on a campaign to try and get rid of train guards from trains. They wanted driverless trains, they wanted no train guards, they wanted to get rid of ticket offices and all of these members of staff who were going to be there, who were literally there to protect the public. And they're like, well, we can just automate it to save money. And I'm just like, these things are really important. If you'd have got your way, and we hadn't listened to the trade unionists who are fighting against the removal of train guards on public safety grounds, then we would not been able to stop this attack in the way that it was stopped. Again, another thing which is, again, cost-cutting measures and stripping back at investment, stripping back at necessary operational expenditure to penny pinch and allowing the regular members of the public to deal with the externalities and the consequences because Tories just want to sell things off and slash expenditure so that their rich mates can avoid tax.
Man here in the front.
I watched the news today and the levels of sickness within the prison service are skyrocketing. That needs seriously readdressing And why it's happening, we do not know. And when new employment right comes in, where you can claim sickness from day one in the job, it is going to be merry hell, may I say.
So at Wandsworth, where these two prisoners were released accidentally, something like a third of prison staff are not available for work on any given day because of sickness or because of training. Paul?
Yeah, well, first of all, let's just say ministers obviously do have to take responsibility. I find it very difficult, Graham, to sit there, you with a straight face, and talk about neglect of public services when you consider the track record of your government, the government you were a member of for 14 years, because it doesn't matter. Every single aspect of our...
Get a trade unionist in. They'll tell you. That's what you need. We just need... What we need is a trade unionist involved in all of these conversations. Just go, bullshit, and then give you the real reason.
Exactly. Every time they get trade unionists on, they're the only ones speaking any fucking sense. Whether it's Joe Grady, whether it was Mick Lynch, whoever it is, they're the only people who actually get to the real nub of the issue, which is about economics.
Even the shithouse ones are still better than any of the other garbage from Parliament.
Exactly.
Public realm, but in particular our criminal justice system, in our courts, our probation services, where we've got 25% staff vacancies, in our prisons. Let's remember, our prisons are at 99% capacity. The staff every single day face the threat of...
Those are rookie numbers. We can get it up to 106%. Let's fucking go!
It's the Vinnie Jones advert. I only expect 110%.
Exactly.
Violent assaults, harassment from prisoners. They are a breaking point. That partly explains the issues around staff absences. I've been in prisons with prison staff and prison officers. I can tell you it's quite a difficult environment to work in. There are obviously individual mistakes, and those mistakes need to be rectified. But this is it's a systemic failure, and it represents 14 years of neglect.
Why is it 3 times more now than it was when the Conservatives left power, Paul? If your point was valid, Graham, why has it tripled?
Graham,
why is it tripled?
If I can finish the point. When you cut criminal justice funding by 22%, it's going to have an impact somewhere. Now, it's absolutely right, as I said, right at the outset, that government ministers take responsibility. But I don't think anyone should take lectures from a government that presided over a decade and a half of austerity, Graham, about the state of our prisons or any other public service.
True. Fucking get him.
Based. Let's go.
And just because, why has it gone up? Because it has spiked under the new government.
There's a range of reasons. Partly it's the pressures that those staff are under. Also, remember, under Graham's government, the government increased the pension age for prison officers to 68. I don't know how many members of this audience would fancy being on a ward with dozens of young men, many of them violent offenders, at the age of 67, 68. It's a difficult and at times dangerous job. Staff are assaulted every single day. That partly explains why sickness levels are high.
I just don't get it. The one point of prison...
Honestly, you could just stop there. I don't get it. And that's it. that is his contribution, because at least that's honest. Yeah, okay.
And this, I think it is also second. I want to kind of add an addendum to what Paul Novak was saying, because I think his focus on the staffing, because he's a trade unionist, he's there for the people who do the work, right? But there's one of the real central things is capital investment. Building new capacity is important, but also upgrading existing systems. The issue we already have is that if this oversight can happen so easily in terms of letting people out by accident, then it shows that we need to have more investment in the systems that we use to determine people's release dates. This is to have more investment in security, more investment in digitization, or whatever that might be, to ensure that it's as infallible as possible. But of course, capital investment involves the government spending money, and we didn't do any of it. We literally did not do any capital investment of the kind of scale that was necessary during the Conservative government's austerity period.
Indeed so.
Is to keep people inside it. So how do you end up shuttling people out of it? And in the case of Kabatu, the Ethiopian gentleman, he actually said to them, I don't think I'm supposed to go. And they insisted he leave and gave him £76 as pocket money.
No, don't worry. If you think that's a lot of money, they also then gave him 500 quid on top of it to fuck off. So he's rolling in it. In Ethiopia, imagine what you can get for £576 sterling in Ethiopia. He's a fucking king.
Literally, the trailer park boys meme. I'll pay you £576 to fuck off.
But it's bad when the prisoner's like, no, I really don't think I'm supposed to be released. No, on your way. See ya. The train station's there, second left. Fucking hell.
Now, when this sort of thing goes on, I hope someone gets sacked, because a Wally is involved here. It might be a minister, it might be someone junior, but I don't like the idea that this sort of outrageous thing might occur and no one takes any responsibility for it, especially as it now seems, because one of the prisoners has returned himself to prison, that our justice system is dependent upon the honesty of our crooks in order to keep people inside.
Well, this is the way it goes, right? We ping-pong migrants to France and back all the time. We got prisoners that come in and go in. You know, it's a sushi restaurant of like weird illegal shit going on. That's all that's happening now.
So true.
We don't have functionally a state that works anymore.
What I will say is, I fundamentally disagree with what Tim Stanley is saying. I don't think Tim Stanley's right in saying that someone has to lose their job, right? I mean, someone does have to take responsibility, of course, I believe so. But if we're seeing hundreds of accidental releases each year, this is a problem that is bigger than an individual. I think it's a very liberal idea to say that it's one individual's fault and they should shoulder the blame. No, it's a systemic problem, and Paul Novak is the one that's correct here. There's got to be multiple people doing multiple mistakes for it to happen hundreds of times.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. But again, to admit that it's a systemic problem would require a systemic solution, and we don't want people thinking about that.
True.
Right? Now, we can have the soap opera, as we've just had, of your government did this, your government did that. The truth is it is a systemic failure. It's an institutional failure. It's a consequence...
Okay. Let him cook. See where he's going.
Consequence in part of austerity. It's a consequence of a population which has said, we want everyone to be locked up, but weren't willing to pay the taxes to build the prisons to put people in them.
True.
It's a consequence of an approach towards prisons which has emphasised privatisation and the hiring of private security firms. And very often people are running prisons who are not...
I'm sorry, what the fuck happened to Tim Stanley? Who replaced him with a vaguely sensible human?
I mean, he's not the first Tory that's realised that neoliberalism sucks.
Yeah, but he'll still fucking support it.
True.
Like he thinks that privatisation doesn't work, but just in prisons. Everything else is fine and working just dandy.
Suitable to do it. It used to be, in the good old days, during the war, people would go from the military to working in prisons. Kind of tough old lags would staff them. Quite clearly, people are now overwhelmed. Just look at the number of scandals of people having sex with prisoners. I mean, that's another pretty good indicator that something's going wrong. Our prison system is a strange mix of very, very cruel, locking people up for long periods of time, giving them nothing to do, young men who have no hope, who are not being retrained, at some point will be released into the community where they know nothing but crime. On the one hand, it's cruel. On the other hand, it is clearly too liberal and too lax. Let's sack a couple of people.
Oh, Jesus Christ. See, I was letting him cook, and you know what? He was preparing a meal, and then he took a shit on the meal.
I mean, it was very weird what he's saying there, because, again, the first kind of half of that is all true.
Yeah.
Privatisation and the attitude towards the careers of people working in the prison service has been shit ever since we decided that workers' rights were something that were a relic of a bygone era. Yeah. And the prison system as a carceral system, it doesn't help people get out of the cyclical nature of criminality, and it breeds it going further if they stay in prison for far too long. We lock up people for reasons that they shouldn't be locked up for totally nebulous things that could be done as a community order. We lock people up for holding signs saying, I oppose genocide. We do loads of things that are do not necessitate putting people in prison. Yeah. And he's totally right. And just, I wonder what his point here is about it being too liberal.
But also, weird. It's too liberal. So he's told us about all the systemic problems and then gone, the solution is to just sack a couple of people. It'll be fine.
Yeah, a bit weird.
What the how do you make the sensible point and then come to that conclusion?
Let's also have a discussion about how to fix a systemic problem.
Capital investment. There you go.
And when you say sack a couple of people, are you talking in government or are you talking in prisons?
I mean the people who let them out. And like there was an MP in Parliament who said, I hope no one person is used as a scapegoat for this. No, I hope they are. And this is part of the problem. There is no sense of responsibility.
You're an idiot. The whole point of a scapegoat is that it deflects from the problem. It's that it's used as a distraction from the actual issue. So you just going, well, if they sack David Lammy, that's fine. No, because the systemic problems are still fucking there, you duff. Conservative, like, brain rot cancer worms or whatever the fuck is going on needs to be studied. Because this person made genuinely sensible, worthwhile points and is now talking shit the next sentence. It doesn't make sense.
Stability in so much of our culture nowadays. This is the original question. This was the original
literally, fucking John O'Farrell's book was literally, and it was a sort of funny joke. He called it "I Blame the Scapegoats," and he's literally doing it. He's literally going, no, scapegoating is a good idea, actually. Oh, fucking idiocy.
How did it happen? Someone screwed up. Someone must go. And we want reassurance that this isn't just covered up and people aren't just moved on, but someone pays the price for this decision.
Okay.
I know you're a trade unionist, you won't like that.
But I think the point is, Tim, what you don't want is a scapegoat. What you want to do is go through a proper process and find out
yeah,
what
exactly.
lay behind those people being released. I agree with you entirely about what is the point of prison. 80% of offences are carried out by people re-offending. Clearly our prison system isn't working, and it's not helped by the fact that we've got 25% vacancies amongst probation officers as well. The people who should be helping people rehabilitating the community just aren't there and aren't available to do the job.
Yeah, so true. Again, there is one person, I mean, I say one person, there is one person who's usually shouldering most of the blame when it comes to the problems of this country. It's always fucking George Osborne, every time.
I'm beginning to think you're not a fan.
I am negatively polarized, yes.
I'll be honest with you, the Christmas present I have for you of a signed photograph from him seems misplaced at best now.
If we're looking at trying to reform prisons, okay, Labour might say that they're going to do that now, but how do we know they're going to? Because if they're already saying, oh, we've got this in place, we've got that in place, and they don't, I find it laughable that we're expected to vote for them again in the next general election, and we're expected
Well, they're not going to, and fundamentally, Sunderland is exactly the place. Sunderland should be a bellwether. They should have learned from Brexit. The people of Sunderland, by and large, will vote Labour-ish if they are given a reason to. Right? They're not fundamentally evil Tories. They fucking hate Tories. They've never voted for the Tories for the last 50 years or whatever. But if you shit on them and you offer them no reason, they'll vote for somebody else. They'll vote for any other option than the status quo. And the Labour Party have gone, I tell you what, how about the status quo but sold to you even worse? The people of
the Tony Blair Institute.
Yeah, and they're going to vote for the turquoise Tories. That's going to happen, I guarantee it, at the next election. The Labour Party will not hold on to its red wall because it's fundamentally sold it out. So to protect Israel and or billionaires.
Rely on them to fix all of these issues when they're already lying about what they have done.
Right, well, that's two criticisms of Labour coming your way. Do you want to answer?
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting. I agree with a lot of what Tim said about responsibility, but it's not just one-off. This is a systemic issue, like you said. So how have we got to this situation? Because we've seen so much chronic underfunding. The Ministry of Justice budget was slashed by a third. So people might not have seen that over the last 15 years because, like you said, prisons are often the people behind the scenes or people that are out of the way of society. And the consequences are now being felt.
What the man in the white shirt and the woman just now are talking basically is about the credibility of Labour.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we've had 15 months, and in that time we've committed to the biggest prison building programme since the Victorian era. So we're going to really... we've already started, David Lammy was out today digging the ground in building new prison places. When there was only 500 prison places built under the last Conservative government, you can't possibly expect a burgeoning prison population and the staff to be able to cope with that. That's why we're in the mess we're in, because the system hasn't been funded properly, it's not been supported, it's not been modernised, and then we end up in this situation where it's got really damaging consequences for the community. This is the reality of austerity playing at large.
Lynn, you asked that question, you got your hand up again.
Yes, I'm just a bit fed up of Labour and Conservative both playing the sort of political blame game on this issue.
Shut up. I fucking hate this. I fucking hate this. I can't believe that party politicians are talking about party politics. One was in government for 14 years, in control of the system that's now failed. Yes, it is perfectly reasonable to point fingers. It is perfectly reasonable to say other decisions could have been taken by other people that weren't taken and the opposite was done, and that's why we're in the mess. Yes, it's the Conservative Party's fault. I will point fingers at them, and so should Labour, so should the Green Party, and quite frankly, so should Reform UK. Everyone should point fingers at the Conservative Party. They were in government for 14 years and they fucking destroyed the country. Yeah, it's not the blame game. They are to blame. That's literally the reason why they're being talked about.
Indeed.
Far more important than that, and they actually need to get their heads together and sort it out between them with some cooperation, and it should never happen again.
No, fuck off! Shut up! No, why should you cooperate with people who voted through George Osborne's budgets?
Yeah.
Why weren't these two people who believe totally opposite things about the role of the state cooperate with each other? That's what politics is. That's why we have elections, so that people can put their ideological positions to the country, and the country decides which one they want to be the ones that decide how policy works, or why they work together. No, the Tories lost. They're not in government. It's not their role to talk about this. They should shut up and go into the corner and think about what they've done.
True. Also, I've just noticed that ancient kind of Roman-looking ruin above the word Sunderland looks a little bit like one of those mechanised machines from Star Wars.
The AT-ATs?
Yeah, yeah. A little bit, like a millipede version.
Well, you're absolutely right that it shouldn't happen again. But our role as His Majesty's opposition is to hold the government to account. And you will, I'm sure, have been tired of hearing...
Did he say Her Majesty's? I think he did. Hang on.
Clearly part of Zohran Mamdani's transition
You're absolutely right
team.
that it shouldn't happen again. But our role as His Majesty's
opposition... Oh, no, he did say his apologies. My bad. I thought he'd misgendered the king. Which I think is a punishable offence with death. Yes.
Can't believe the fucking national anthem.
You will, I'm sure,
Zack
have been tired of hearing 14 years all the time. The Conservatives were...
that would be so good. Please, the next king, go by Zer. A, because they'll have to change all the signs to like ZMP for the prisons. And imagine God saves a gracious king as the lyrics.
Gracious monarch.
Oh, a gracious gender fluid monarch. Oh, oh God.
I just want it to be a trans person, so the TERFs get mad about having to sing "God Save the Queen" for a trans woman. That'd be so funny.
That would be good.
Oh, no, we lost. Hands up. We lost the trust of the people, and now we have a government in power, and it needs to take responsibility. It's fair to point to the things which came through from the Conservative years, but equally we want a change in culture from the government that we have today to accept responsibility for what it's done and what it does, and from that. We do have a sort of adversarial politics, and some people say, why can't you all just work together? Well, I think there's only one thing worse than politicians seemingly politicking or whatever, holding each other to account, and that's when we all stand together in a row and say, we're here for you. I think at least we have a system in which you'll be called out. We were called out, and it's right.
Jesus Christ, he's having to give basic civics lessons to the audience of Sunderland. Oh, God. So anyway, you elect politicians in a thing called an election. When you put an X in a box next to the person who fits your ideological perspective. Fucking hell.
We call them out, and then you get to decide what your judgment is as to who would be best to lead the country. And at the moment, they're not doing a very good job on this and many other areas. But
there were plenty of these releases under your government, apparently, as well. So you're just as much to blame.
Hang on, I thought you were against the fucking blame game. Make your mind up. You can't be like, you just sitting there doing the blame game. It's bigger than that. And then she's like, you fucked up as well, dickhead. Look,
I mean, if you try and get your head into the mind space of a median voter, you'll just go insane.
That's what I mean. That's why I can't stand for election, because I'd end up fucking going mental and going postal against like some random person on the doorstep.
Imagine if you were Gordon Brown in the Gillian Duffy moment.
Oh God, yeah. No, I just go, get the fuck out of my face, you racist old cunt. Fuck off.
So like, it says, all these Eastern Europeans, where are they flocking from? Eastern Europe, probably.
Yeah, probably the place you fucking mentioned. God Almighty, you're thick. Fuck off. And you know what? I'd win in a landslide because people respect the honesty.
That's as I said, it did happen.
All right.
But
Okay.
But it's worth saying that the more released in the first year of Labour, and we haven't got to the bottom of why that was, but more released in the first year of Labour than the previous 3 years under the Conservatives. And I think if those facts are true, then it's worth reflecting on.
Well, the facts are there were 17 people released a month under the Conservatives. There are 22 under Labour. Now, I appreciate that is absolutely going in the wrong direction. We have to handle that.
Why is that then?
We've got a review coming that David Lammy's just asked for because we've got to understand why that is. But for me, like I said,
you must have some idea.
Oh, let's just do it again. It's just another Quango thing. It's just a way of deflecting. Oh, well, there's no one to blame in the current administration. We'll just do a review, and then everyone will have forgotten about it, and no one will care. Job done. No one ever takes any responsibility for anything ever.
We're not all discussing it.
But it's not as if we've come in and said, well, you know, this isn't a priority for us. We've absolutely been clear that prison is a huge priority for us. That's why we've put a huge amount of investment into it. It's a massive priority because
so
we
more
came
people
in
are being
realising
released, and in the government you had no idea why.
Because these are errors, they're mistakes, they're not deliberate policy
No, I get
ideas. So we've got to work out why the system is really failing. But we're about to have a budget where we're going to have some difficult choies to make.
Yes,
and one of those is about whether we invest in our public services.
All right, no, let's not make any final...
Because that
I'll tell you what, Anna.
If
you really want to get some experts involved, why don't you ask your friends in the military contracts industry or in the gambling industry?
Yeah.
I checked it, double-checked it today, the numbers, and there were more released in the first year that Labour was in power than in the previous 3 years. So it didn't move up by a little bit, it moved up by a lot. But Anna got those numbers incorrect, that's all I'm saying.
Okay. Right. We started already. Let me tell you where we are next week. Next week we're in London, and the week after that we're in Loughborough. So if you want to come and be part of the audience and put your questions to our panel, London or Loughborough, go to the Question Time website and all the instructions are there, and hopefully we will see you London next week. Right. You mentioned difficult decisions coming, and I think we might have a question about that. John Goodfellow.
If Labour break the manifesto commitment on tax, should Starmer and Reeves resign?
Should they resign?
Well, they should resign because they're genocidal freaks, but yes.
I mean, they should resign, yeah. I mean, they should, if you care about the Labour Party, obviously I don't, I could give a shit, but if you care about the Labour Party, you probably should also want them to resign because they're fucking despised.
Yeah, literally.
Unironically, doing a really, really controversial and damaging decision for them politically, such as breaking a manifesto commitment that they were very clear on.
All to avoid taxing actual wealthy people.
Yeah, and they could, and then just resigning immediately afterwards probably were the best thing that they could do in terms of wanting to do the things that they said they wouldn't do. Yeah, just do the thing that everyone hates, and then we'll fuck off.
Yeah.
Resign. So obviously we had Rachel Reeves this week making a very unusual speech in which she said lots of things, nothing specific in terms of what's coming in the budget later this month, but she did say we will all have to contribute to that effort. Each of us must do our bit.
We already are.
Which is set a hair running about an increase in taxes. Tim, should Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves resign if they do increase taxes and break their manifesto commitment?
No, in a fantasy world, yes, but obviously not, because they're not going to present a budget and then say, right, I'm done, sit down and resign on the spot. I mean, that would be absurd. But I was serious in my shouting there. I hate it when chancellors say you've all got to contribute, as if we haven't been doing that. As if you and I have just been milking the state, and finally the good times are over, and finally we have to dig into our pockets. In fact, when Labour talks about the worst inheritance since the war, well, one of the metrics of the worst inheritance is that taxes are so high. That's one of the problems. And she's going to present it to us that she has no choice. Well, that proposition is wrong on two fronts. First, the idea that she inherited a situation that was just absolutely dreadful, and she's done what little she could to fix it. In fact, the economy was doing okay. The deficit was under control. There was some growth.
Fuck you. Inflation had been killing people for a long time.
I mean, like, again, it's what happens when you're somebody who doesn't understand the lives of normal people. You go, well, the big number go up was okay. It wasn't great, but it was fine. The big number, the red line was okay. And you're trying to disparage the line, are we? Oh, how dare you say bad things about our slightly increasing red line when And then when people on the ground have much less to say about the line and more their own material circumstances. Although it's worth pointing out, again, as I've said many times, taxes aren't high in this country. It's much lower than many similar economies in Europe by like 10 percentage points in some cases. We're on like 38% of GDP. In France, it's like 46%. It's 52% in some other countries as well, which are also function better than we do, like Finland. And if you look at our income distribution of taxation, we actually have in terms of income, we have quite a top-heavy tax system at the moment, where higher earners in the UK pay higher levels of taxation than they do in countries like Germany, but people on the lower end pay a little bit less. But what we don't do is tax wealth anywhere near as much as we tax any amount of labour, whether it's at the top or at the bottom.
Interest rates have been cut. Well done. Thank you, Labour. They've been cutting interest rates. She made a choice to spend more, to borrow more, and to tax more. And some of those tax choices have then suppressed growth. And the second reason why that I have no choice is wrong is because there is one thing she could do, and that is significantly cut spending. But we learnt in the last year with the failed welfare reform bill that because Labour is now controlled by its backbenchers, it can't do those kind of cuts. So she has brought us to this position.
Mate, you were literally just telling us how privatisation was bad and how austerity was bad. But again, you're now just going, we should just do more austerity. Just dig up, idiots.
It's just, again, incredible for him to go, well, the problem was we didn't invest enough into this thing. And if people want investment, they've got to pay for it. But it's terrible that we've been investing in things to pay for things. What?
Yeah.
This is completely fucking...
This guy is like fucking split personality or something.
It's incoherent as fuck.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Twat.
Position where we need to do something about the deficit in order to calm the markets. It is Labour's default position that must come through tax rises. And the tragedy is you know how this ends. Every time you do this with tax, never mind us having to pay more,
pause.
It also squeezes the economy.
You know how it ends, Tim? You know how it ends? It ends with hundreds of people getting let out of prison by accident every year.
Yeah. Yeah. But, you know... Can't we just have low taxes and have a functioning state, please? Can't we have no taxes and everything just magically happen and function? And Kapistan.
I'm sure that Demon Mama's going to be in the chat going, no, we can have our own pharmaceutical production as part of our anarchist communes.
Is she still doing stuff?
I don't think so. There was a big scandal, I believe.
Indeed.
Reduces the growth and creates a spiral down where you just have to end up taxing more in the first place. I'm afraid this is how so many Labour governments have ended.
It's the total opposite of reality, by the way.
Anyone who clapped that, terms of service.
It's just really stupid because the reality, of course, is that that's what every Conservative government has done is underinvested, and it's left the Labour Party to pick up the fucking pieces. Except they're now not doing that.
Yeah.
You know, we know that Rachel's got some very, very difficult choices ahead of her. You know, we've had a year of stabilising the economy, but we've got that choice ahead of us is, do we want to return to austerity or do we want to continue the renewal and the regrowth of Britain? And we've just had a conversation about what austerity looks like and what the impact of public service cuts are. We want to get the NHS back on its feet, and we've already delivered, talking about manifesto commitments, 5 million new appointments, well over and above our manifesto commitment already. We're delivering on our manifesto, we're reforming public services, and if we want to continue to build that and support our children, our young people, and invest in the services people care about, we're going to have to make some very difficult decisions in the coming weeks.
But given that not raising income tax, VAT or national insurance was a key manifesto pledge, it wasn't one around the edges, it was absolutely core and central to Labour's offering at the general election. If the Chancellor does break one of those pledges, how is anyone ever going to believe Labour again?
I'm not privy to what's in the budget coming up, so I can't speculate on that. But I think the reality is, none of us would want to. We were all elected on that manifesto. None of us would want to do this. But if you're faced with a choice, which is either we just continue to go down a path of austerity, continue to cut back to reduce the growth. I mean, and the situation we're in is simply untenable. At the moment, 1 in every £10 of government spending is going into servicing our debt. We've got to bring that down. We've got to make sure we continue to invest in public services, because without investing in our jobs, our industry, our skills, our education, our NHS, we're not going to have a flourishing country that can be economically viable.
Lots of hands up. Let's hear from some.
Have we thought about slight raises in taxes and kill all the poor?
I made a whole segment about this yesterday. I think it was yesterday. It was a couple of days ago. I was watching an interview with Rachel Reeves with Andrew Marr, and she made some reasonable points about, well, if we want to have a country which functions, people have to feel willing to contribute towards it. And I'm like, I agree with this. We'll have to do our bit. I agree with this. And she was just like, so we'll have to. She's prepping people for tax rise. And I'm just like, well, it's on what's unforgivable is Rachel Reeves being out here and going, well, this is this new social contract I want to build, and getting people to contribute to a bigger state through taxation is how we're going to make people feel pride in the public realm. I'm like, but you can't just thrust a social contract upon people, a new social contract upon people, with no mandate to do so.
No.
There will be no new social contract. You can keep paying the same amount of tax, and we can just do better with less, or whatever, which was the prospectus that they went to the public with at the election, was what people voted for. They didn't vote for the new social contract that I think this country does need. It is unforgivable as someone like Rachel Reeves, who purports to be a social democrat, to then undermine the creation of that social contract by doing it with no mandate, no public buy-in, no popular support at all.
Yeah, exactly.
And what that will mean is that the necessity of a new social contract will not happen. People will just refuse to engage and participate because it was done with no consent of the governed. It's unforgivable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you look, fundamentally, this was, as she says, front and centre. He kept saying this. There will be no raise in these 3 taxes. I was prepared to let him off with the thing with the so-called jobs tax, because that's not on average working people. So fine.
No.
The Tories can try and stretch for that one, but I think it's a bit of a reach. Whereas this would be, if they raise income tax, there should be terms of service on the street in anger, because the people are right to want honesty from politicians. Obviously, you're not going to get that a lot of the time in certain respects, but when it comes to something as core as this, it would be the equivalent of like you could, as the House of Lords, vote something like this down. Now, of course, the House of Lords can't do that because it's a finance bill, so it's essentially as long as the
Parliament Act doesn't apply. Yeah,
exactly. The Parliament Act doesn't apply. Which was a thing that came in the early 20th century, because their Parliament couldn't get a fucking bill through, and the country was about to go default. Anyway, the people would be, and rightly, fucking furious about that. Yeah.
I mean, there was an actual fucking coup in Ukraine over election broken promises.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I think it's something bigger, like saying we're going to get closer involvement with the European Union, and then saying, actually, we're going to have more closer links to Russia. Sorry, that's a bigger betrayal of the electorate than saying you wouldn't raise taxes and then slightly raising taxes. But that is the level to which the breaking down that level of trust between the public and the government can damage democracy irreparably.
But it's interesting that they've now noticed that Keir Starmer might be about to break a promise, whereas they were absolutely fine with him breaking every single promise he made to the Labour Party during his run, and most of his major pledges once he got into the leadership as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's so frustrating here, is that we all know full well that Keir Starmer is a proven morally corrupt serial liar, and it's only now that middle-class people might be at risk of being hit by it, that it's being noticed by the electorate and by the medium.
Well, yeah, and like any other leader would be 20 points clear. Fact.
Of zero.
Of zero, yeah.
Yes, the man in the glasses towards the middle, yes.
Labour said in the manifesto that they weren't going to increase taxes. That's the first one. And then about a year ago, Rachel also said, I'll not raise any future
Oh, Rachel, it's first name terms, is it? Oh, very buddy.
taxes. This is a once-only event. Doing it once is careless. doing it twice is unforgivable, you'll never be forgiven.
Woman in the red cardigan.
What concerns me is that we've already got a fifth of children in the North East living in poverty. We're going to raise taxes. That figure's going to rise.
No, it's not.
What are we going to, how are we going?
Oh my God, Poppy bitch. Sorry, go on.
But it's not going to cause child poverty to rise unless the public funds are spent on things that aren't there to help children. That's the issue. Is that it's not that we're taxing too much, because again, the lion's share of taxation here in this country is paid for by higher earners, not lower earners, whose children are at not risk of poverty. But we don't pay enough tax broadly, which means that we're not able, or the governments can get away with doing things like slashing the welfare state and saying the welfare state is too big because of the amount that it makes up of our overall spending envelope. If we had more money to spend, if we were able to spend more, there would be more space for welfare and there would be fewer kids in poverty. That's a choice that we have made, and governments get away with saying things like, we don't have money to be able to get rid of the two-child benefit cap because taxation isn't high enough. If you look at the overall percentage of GDP, both on middle-class people, but obviously on the wealthy, which are the people who completely avoid paying tax at all.
Yeah.
Going to deal with that.
Okay. Man there in the glasses, yeah.
Speeches this week, and one of them, Nigel Farage on Reform, rode back on a lot of commitments that they made last year. Isn't it time that politicians actually trying to form some consensus and work together to get out of this mess?
Oh,
Well,
for fuck's sake!
Second time tonight.
Just these fucking people. Everyone should have to go through basic civics class to get in the audience. If you can't pass a very simple test as to how politics work, you don't get in the audience.
Other than being left and right and comparing ideologies.
Okay, so another call for consensus, right? Woman here in the front.
I think a manifesto should be seen as a legally binding document, and the political parties, when they're formulating them, should take it very seriously that they might be charged with something.
I mean, that's a fair point, but where the fuck is your papa?
If they break them.
And do you think, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen.
If you send them to prison, they'll just walk straight out.
Oh, but Tim, there's no money.
Oh,
but she made a choice to raise taxes. She's made a choice she could spend less money, and I'm just like, but I thought you said that getting people being let out of prisons was bad.
True, but let's not cope. It was a good joke.
Mm.
It was a good line, to be fair.
True.
Keir Starmer resign. What's your feeling on that?
Well, I think that yes, they should actually, if they do it. I don't think they will, because.
Oh, she is wearing a papa. Oh, thank fuck. Oh, I was about to say she was Hamas, but she is wearing a papa. Okay. Whew. Don't wear it low down. We need to see it. It needs to be on your fucking face.
They won't. I hope they've got a bit more respect for us as an electorate, and that they've promised.
They don't. They hate you. They despise you. They think you're scum. Now, to be fair, I did also call the electorate scum. But that's mainly just because they're annoying bastards. I'd still like to see them fed and housed.
To be fair, we actually spend our time around members of the public. We can say this. Yeah. Politicians, they are gated community.
Oh, God, yeah.
Manifesto that they're not going to do that.
Okay.
So
Well, certainly, Rachel Reeves was careful not to say that explicitly in her speech, but she was clearly softening us up for something. But we don't know what. Graham.
Thank you. Well, solemn promises were made, weren't they? Absolutely promised to ordinary working people, like people in this.
Like, getting immigration down to the single-digit thousands.
How'd that go?
Yeah, that was a thing that got said by a party several times, wasn't it, Graham? Intriguing.
Audience, we're not going to put up your income tax, we're not going to put up national insurance, we're not going to put up VAT. Then they came in, they invented the black hole, and they said, we are going to put up national insurance.
Invented the black hole. They're just going to go full black hole denialist. Like, I think they bigged it up a bit, but come on, you did fuck it. You fucked the system up completely, mate.
The real black hole's about 11 billion, not 22 billion. 11 billion was roughly the departmental overspend, mostly from the Home Office, that wasn't included in the budgets that they sent off to a bunch of the OBR type groups that were supposed to report on it. So this was something that was true. 11 billion of this was public sector pay awards, which had been agreed to by the independent pay review bodies and submitted to the government, saying you should raise public sector wages by this much. This is how much we think you should do it. And the Conservatives essentially hadn't responded. We all know, right? There was no way they were never going to not do it. They had to do it because otherwise people would start quitting or going on strike and the public realm would collapse. This wasn't something they were ever going to not do. But it was still technically the Labour Party's choice to adhere to those pay review bodies because it's only a recommendation. It's not hard and fast. So that's a bit of sleight of hand, but were the Conservative Party shit at managing the economy? Yes. I think that's probably the most you can take out of it.
True. But you know who also has a black hole that needs to be filled? Actually, that was way more sexual than I'd planned. Basically, you can give us money in the form of bits and subs and memberships and super chats and that.
Please subscribe. Please give me money. I would like money, please.
I can buy chicken with it.
Oh, our chicken today was good.
Nice.
That's last year. And then you'll remember telling the people again and again, studio after studio, visiting the CBI, we will not be back for more. And what's happened? Absolutely guaranteed. This was a cast iron guarantee. And what do? They're going to be back for more. They're going to break their promises. And it goes back to the Labour voter who spoke earlier. She said, well, how can I trust a word they say? And the truth is, we can't. They've really, really broken us. And trust was already low. Trust is so important because how do we maintain a democracy if the words that politicians like me say, you absolutely discount? You don't believe they're going to do it.
Yeah, that's already happened. What do you mean, if that happens? That's already happened.
Don't mean it. And that's one of the things that I'm excited about Kemi Badenoch. She actually is a straight talker. I think she's a woman of principle.
Oh, mate, what is wrong with you? Look at that face. That face is, sums it up. Lord, that's the beginnings of Stankai right there. And rightly so. Kemi Badenoch is a straight talker. What world do you live in?
It's just how delusional I have to be to say this.
Herpes is more popular than her.
She hasn't come out with knee-jerk responses, and she has come forward and said, we're going to tell audiences.
Except, of course, when the Reform Party came out and said they were going to end the right to remain, and she immediately went, yeah, no, we're going to do that too. And then a week later went, no, we're not going to do that. But she doesn't do knee-jerk responses. She's a straight talker, you understand?
That's the Mr. Bean meme of him just like leaning over to copy the test.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
They don't want austerity. But the truth is, another word for austerity is living within your means. And it's all very well.
Right, but we haven't been doing that. That's the point. Because you refuse to tax the rich, so we can't, we don't get anywhere with this. The years of... If you look at the national debt, it was very low until Margaret Thatcher happened. And every time you've had successive waves of Conservative government, it's gotten higher and higher and higher every single time. You are the worst. This idea that they're fiscally responsible is ridiculous. They are fiscal terrorists.
Every time.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether it was the Heath, Thatcher, Major, Cameron, May, Johnson. I mean, Johnson probably was the closest we got. So managing the economy at least somewhat in a normal way under Boris Johnson. It's incredible, really. You have to look to Boris Johnson as being the only fiscal realist in terms of the way in which they manage the economy. But you got the Barber boom, followed by all of Thatcherism, followed by the exchange rate mechanism and selling off the trains, and you've got austerity, and then you've got fucking Brexit.
Yep.
Anna's saying, she doesn't like the level of debt. Well, if you keep spending money you haven't got, you pile up the debt for our children and grandchildren. And you don't want to hear that.
Except it's not money that you haven't got. It's the government's money. It's all the government's money. It's a fiat currency. We are a sovereign currency issuer.
Yeah.
Because the truth is we have to live within our means. That means saying to the prison service, you've got to get by on the budget you've got, and we don't go letting people out who are supposed to be in prison telling us it's because, and we'll have Paul telling us,
okay, so we should have all then
budget cuts.
So we just say, well, if the economy budget cuts is full for anything. Well, just the prison system. We just tell the prison system to do better on a shoestring.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, this is illiterate. Politically, economically illiterate.
We have to live within our we have to live within our means, and if at this budget, and it looks all the signals are they're going to do it, having broken their solemn promise last year, they break all the promises they then made, and we may have done it once, but we won't do it again. They do it this year. Then, of course, Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves need to go.
I think it's very difficult for any government minister to take a step back from a manifesto commitment. I'll address that point directly in a moment, but I want to go back to the point that Tim made, where he said that the economy was doing quite well when the government came in. Doing well for who would be the answer, the question that I was asked. Because...
True.
Again, just get a fucking trade unionist on to speak some sense. God almighty. You don't have to give him a tenth of the time and he fucking wins.
GDP may have been going up, but most people were in the midst of a cost of living crisis. Wages were stagnant, living standards were falling, hundreds of thousands of people every single week were going to food banks. When I was growing up in Birkenhead, in Merseyside, in the 80s and 90s, town a bit like
Hang on, you were growing up in Merseyside? I hadn't guessed.
Sunderland. Being poor was something that happened to people who were out of work. Now we've got millions of people who go to work every single day and who still struggle to get by.
So do you think, Paul, do you think that taxes should go up then?
But the woman in the audience talked before about, let me just finish the point, Fiona, about people who were 3 in 10 kids in the northeast living in poverty. 70% of those kids have got at least one parent who goes out to work. So they're doing the right thing, but they're still struggling to get by. I think we need the Chancellor to maintain the course she set at the last budget, to invest in our NHS, in our schools, and yes, in our prisons and our other vital public services and infrastructure and industrial strategy.
And where do you find the money for that?
I'll get to that, Fiona, definitely.
Yeah, he missed that bit out.
I think we need to address the cost of living crisis, and I'd like to see the government take action on energy bills.
OK, go on, Paul. Where do you think the money should
they
come
are,
from?
just the other way.
We're talking about you should.
And I'd like
taxes
to
be raised
address
here.
the issue of the two-child benefit cap as well. Of course we need to find them.
So that's a big shopping list. Where do you think the money should come from?
I think it's time to tax wealth in this country, not workers. I think it's time to tax wealth.
All right,
workers,
Zack.
and I'll tell you for why.
Sorry, I didn't realise that communism had broken out.
Because at the same time that millions of people were struggling to pay their energy bills and hundreds of thousands of people were using food banks, we registered a record number of supercars, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Bugattis last year in the UK. The year before...
It's pronounced Bugatti.
Bugatti.
I'll have you know.
Porsche had its record year for sales in the UK. Now, I don't begrudge anyone a decent car. I don't begrudge anyone a decent car, but there are clearly some people who weren't living through a cost of living crisis. So taxes on wealth...
Yeah, when you say that's good, Tim, you're missing the other aspect of this. A nation of people starving, whilst a tiny percentage of people can afford a Bugatti, is not really a society worth anything, is it?
Yeah, like if there were no food banks and loads of Bugattis, be loving it.
Yeah, fine.
Unfortunately, that's not the case.
Yeah.
But also taxes on windfall profits. Our big 4 banks, between them alone, this year have been making £1 billion in profit each and every single week. What did the Conservatives do in 2023? They cut the bank taxes, the bank surcharge. It's time we ask those with the broadest shoulders to pay a fairer share.
As a trade unionist, you want work, you want businesses.
Absolutely.
People selling fast cars, it might be distasteful, they might be a bit too fast, a bit too red, a bit too big, but it makes money and it creates jobs. And this is the problem with any kind of tax rate, including...
He literally said there's no problem with people, he doesn't begrudge people having a nice car. He's not an idiot. Like, he represents unions that make cars as well, right? Like, you're an idiot. You're just an idiot.
Well, he's conservative, so yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Wealth. There's a fantasy going around among the left at the moment that there is a sort of hidden pockets of money here and there. It's like behind the sofa and just find...
It's not hidden. It's pretty open. We know where it is.
Oh, well, they're driving the supercars.
Yeah, exactly. It's the people in the Bugattis. I reckon it's them that's got the fucking money, rather than, you know, someone struggling on a fucking one child benefit in Sunderland. I don't think they've got much money.
It and get it, we can pay for everything. That money is movable. It will leave, and there's some evidence that...
Okay, and we tax that money, and we take their assets. Very simple. Make it financially punitive for them to leave. And they won't leave.
See, literally, this guy, he's so incoherent to be a Conservative. You go, you can't tax these people, it's unfair because they might leave, and then also it's good that they're supercars because we want the jobs, but who cares about the food banks? But also we need to make sure we're investing in the prisons, otherwise people get let out early because people don't want to pay for it. So it's literally, his thing is literally just, there are no solutions, everything's going to suck, fuck you. Yeah. Also, rich people can stay here and devour our society.
Yeah.
That rich people are already leaving. And one might not like the rich. They may maybe have too much money, be too smug and all those sorts of awful things, but quite tasteless. People like the car.
Heaven forbid someone be smug, Tim? That would be terrible.
Kardashians, gross. But they invest. They create jobs, and actually they are paying the bulk of the taxes as well.
Tim,
so the more we tax them, the more they're going to move overseas, and you'll lose the income.
It's just total lies when people keep saying, oh, well, the wealthy pay most of the tax. No, high earners pay most of the tax. And we actually tax high earners a reasonable amount. But we don't tax people with wealth. You can hold assets that appreciate in value, and they pay a much lower rate of tax than somebody who went out and actually worked during that time when you were sitting on your ass watching assets appreciate in value. That wealth isn't taxed fairly, even though work is being taxed a much higher rate than capital gains is. And second of all, the rich don't create jobs. Some of the richest people literally just own assets. They own real estate. People actually own productive capital on the mega multimillionaires and billionaires, usually.
Yeah.
Most of those rich people usually own property, or they own share portfolios. And whilst a share is a kind of a savings mechanism which can generate a return, the actual investment in productive capital that does create jobs is not actually where a lot of the easy money is in a neoliberal economy.
Yeah. Someone in chat points out rightly that it's Porsche is the correct German pronunciation. But as Ferdinand Porsche was a Nazi, I intend to continue to mispronounce his name. Simple.
We always hear this. We always hear the scare stories about millionaires are going to uproot and leave the UK. The reality is, last year Rachel Reeves did put up taxes on the wealthy. So, for example, we got rid of the loopholes around non-doms. 0.3% of millionaires left the UK last year. Do you know who I worry about? I worry about the doctors and nurses who are leaving the UK to go and work in Australia and elsewhere in the world because we can't afford a decent health service. That's what I worry about.
Fair dues.
In the middle there.
Just to go back to your earlier point about you're investing in the children, you're investing in the prison service. How do we trust you when that is not filtering through to the local councils? For example, my 2 children are in a thriving first school that is now being closed. They're being forced into higher class sizes, which we're told don't work. How do we trust you when you are coming out saying all of these wonderful things about education and priorities is our children, but our local councils all following this through?
Man in the glasses, I think you've got a blue sweater on. Yeah.
Yeah, as a Labour voter, I don't think they should actually resign because the public services are in such a mess. We do need to get the money from somewhere.
So would you maybe welcome his 2...
All right, but do you have to be that much of a briefcase about it?
I mean, he does definitely have the kind of physiognomy of a modern Labour voter, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Strong a word, but would you be prepared to pay higher taxes?
When I voted, I almost hoped they would go back on that promise, which is a strange thing to hope for. But yeah, maybe definitely focused on the wealthier people, though.
Okay. Man here in the front, you're waving your arm at me, so you're just saying you very much want to say.
Thank you, Bruce, and my arm's killing us. I've really got to respond directly to that one. I'll tell you a story. In 2010, when Labour bankrupted the country,
fuck off.
For the first time, I went with me.
Oh my God! Just Gordon Brown sold the gold, didn't he? Oh, for fuck's sake! Just basic economic education, please. Why?
I've voted saying, let's get these idiots out of power. Now, I'm a retired police officer. At the time...
Oh, what a surprise. Anyone surprised about that?
Yeah, he's retired, first of all. So just literally just totally out of the brain space of working people in this country. And second of all, fucking police officer. You never have a real job.
Yeah. I retired from attacking brown people in the street, so you should all listen to me about economics. Brilliant.
Most politicised sporting event of recent times. Norway.
Apologies. I had a fucking tab playing.
Yeah. And I was quite happy to do that because when austerity was brought in, it was all about fixing the country's coffers. I was happy to do that. I'm a patriot.
No, because you know what you do. You're a moron. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
You looked at a public realm that you looked at a crisis of lack of demand, a recession where interest rates were at 0 and people weren't spending money, and we needed to be able to get the economy moving again. And you decided to support a party that said they were going to take money out of the economy during a fucking liquidity trap, right? The one thing you're not supposed to do during a recession, which is take money out of the economy, and the Tories did it.
Yeah.
Years of voting for the Tories, they still didn't fix the problem. And now we've got Labour back in government, blaming...
Yes, they didn't fix the problem because austerity doesn't fix a problem of poor demand due to a recession. Yeah, well done. I can't believe I voted for the people who have the opposite solution that would be the correct one to an issue of a economy that's in recession.
Yeah.
And then you go, well, I voted for them and they didn't fix anything. Have you considered it's because you're stupid? Have you considered you don't know what the fuck you're talking about?
14 years of Tory rule, and they're saying, actually, just trust us. We're going to fix the economy, but we're going to do that while we're picking your pockets.
Yes.
You can't possibly trust
It
any
needs
of
more
this.
public investments while the economy is fucked.
Yep. Also, where the fuck are your lips?
I know, I mean, it's still a really, really difficult time for everyone, and I see it in my community, I see it in the streets, I see it in the doors that I knock. But there are so many things that we are already delivering that I'm genuinely really proud of. I mean, we've had pay rises go up more in 10 months of a Labour government than they did in 10 years of the Tory government. We've had 3 million people get a pay rise on the minimum wage. Now, I know this isn't affecting everyone. It's going to take time for people to feel it. But that together with breakfast clubs, with more free nursery provision, with free school meals, we are desperate to try and lift those children in particular out of poverty that we see so desperately in the North East. This is our mission. We are starting to deliver, but it's going to take a while for us to turn this economy around.
What's the primary way you get people out of poverty? You get them into work.
Right.
And there are
Wrong.
What's the air?
Wrong. Like, you are a representative of the Conservative Party who presided over 14 years of wage stagnation, where we had record number of people in work claiming universal credit, record number of people in work going to food banks, and yet their employers, the corporations, the super rich, they saw their wealth continue to increase. If there's anything that is proof of the fact that reduced trade union rights, a smaller welfare state in terms of supply-side labour market policy to kneecap the wage demands of workers in the interests of the corporate owner class, is that all it's done is make work less likely to take you out of poverty. There's a word missing there. It's getting into good jobs.
Yeah.
And good jobs aren't for Uber Eats. They're not for Deliveroo. It's not fly-by-night, 0-hour contract, gig economy bullshit, which was the labour market that your party created when they were in government in this country, and deliberately made sure that was the case by not doing the kind of macro policy that would drive wage demands as well.
Indeed.
You have fundamentally broken the link between work and higher living standards because you were there in government purely to benefit the asset-owning wealthy people who fund your political campaigns because, quite frankly, you're monsters.
Yeah. And if there's one way of getting us out of poverty, it's with subscriptions and memberships and super chats and bits
True.
messages. These are things you can do to help us not die.
Area of the economy which is the best place for young people to get their first chance of a job, for people who are far away and might have had mental health or other problems, to get into work. Hospitality. 100,000 jobs have gone since Labour came to power.
75.
And back to the gentleman there about the 70s, that's exactly what happened. And then they said, it was all fine. The footballers, the film stars, all the people who pay the bulk of tax left. And it was classic socialism. Paul will be happy because we'd have a more equal society, because all of us would be brave.
Okay, Winston Churchill had a 98% top rate of tax, and we had a fucking building boom, the likes of which we've never seen before. We had a genuinely positive social outlook.
Exactly. And even then, most people left the country not because tax was too high, it's because the country was in the shitter because of an oil crisis that was caused by your government's foreign policy.
Indeed.
And then you try and, again, they do this every time. Every single time they try and blame the Labour Party for the crisis that happened in the 1970s. And I'm like, no, you did a silly budget with Anthony Barber in the early 70s. The 3-day week happened under Ted Heath.
True.
It was the winter of discontent of strikes that happened under the Labour Party, but those were wage demands of workers during a cost of living crisis that was caused by an oil shock that was the result of our allegiance with the United States when they took the side of Israel during the Yom Kippur War.
True.
That's why there was an Arab boycott. It's why there was cost-push inflation and why there was a wage price spiral in the 1970s. Nothing to do with the Labour Party.
Indeed. And also, if we're going to talk about broken electoral promises, Margaret Thatcher did not mention the word privatisation once in her manifesto in 1979.
Well, she didn't actually privatise that much until 1983, to be fair.
She did start the process, though. There's no doubt
True,
about it.
true.
There were sell-offs, and there were private businesses contacted about, like, well, if we win a massive landslide as we expect to, then yeah. Anyway, but the point being, she broke those promises. Thank you, Fuzzmos, for gifting us up, and thank you to Abscondage, which is a lovely name, with the super chat.
Broke.
And
Winston Churchill said years ago, the vice of capitalism, the nature of capitalism, having a market society, is that you're going to have some people who do really well and others better. But overall, we're better off. And he said the virtue of socialism, it's equal sharing of misery.
You know what, Graham?
And that's exactly
Pause.
what they're delivering.
Pause. I mean, it's funny for him to do that whilst also talk about how it's terrible how high rates of tax push people away when Winston Churchill's taxation was higher than Wilson and Callaghan's in terms of top earners. And second of all, it just describes capitalism as a market economy, which is wrong. Market economy is a kind of distribution. Capitalism is a model of ownership. It's where private ownership of the means of production, not worker ownership of the means of production. And has that actually ever really been the case when you actually look at countries that have higher levels of taxation that don't lose people because they don't have a shitty public realm? Because we actually haven't taxed enough. We have much lower taxation than Scandinavian social democracies do. They grow faster than we do. They have more billionaires per capita than we do.
Yeah.
Because it's a nicer society to live in. And they're happier. They live longer. They have better results and all of these different metrics of the health of a society. We are living in the neoliberal disaster capitalist hellscape of your dreams, Graham, and it's shit and everyone hates it and they all want to fuck off. Well done.
Also, Winston Churchill was a genocidal monster.
He was that too.
So I don't care.
A man who's never been. There speaks a man who's never been.
Wow, the copper! The copper and two other people clapped. Thanks.
Paid insecure job. Because there are millions of people.
I was a porter at a hotel just like you.
There are millions of people who go to work in this country and work.
Hang on, is he doing the Kemi Badnock thing? Oh, I worked at McDonald's for 2 weeks.
Working class hero.
Yeah. Like fucking James O'Brien, I worked on a building site for a month. Yeah.
Bloody hard, and they're struggling to pay their bills right now.
Yeah.
And your party votes time and time again against improving people's rights at work. So it's trapping people. 4 million people.
You're trapping people out
4
of
million
work with
people
your
are
rights.
trapped
That's what
in
you're doing.
insecure employment in this country. They don't know from one week to the next how much they're going to earn. It is hard to build a life when you don't know how much is going to be in your pay pocket. And the government's employment rights bill will go some way to making work pay, and that's what everybody wants to happen.
Three-quarters of those children are in working families. Three-quarters of the children growing up in poverty are in working families. People are doing their best. That's what
And you're about to put their taxes up, having promised you wouldn't.
Okay.
That's why they won't forgive
All
you.
right, let's take another question, because the budget, when is it? 26th of November. isn't
So
it?
literally, the Tories and Labour are going to go down swinging at each other and both become politically irrelevant as they go, well, you fucked up, well, you fucked up, well, you fucked up, well, you fucked up, as they both sink beneath the waves of history. Brilliant. Okay.
We've got a bit of time. I think we're going to be discussing this possibly next week or the week after. Right, Tom Hall. Now, Tom Hall, I know you're with Kayla, and you've agreed that you'll ask the question for Tom.
Yeah, so Tom's question is, why is tackling climate change no longer a priority?
Why is tackling climate change no longer a priority? Well, we've got COP30, I think
One
it is,
word.
taking place in Brazil.
Money!
Yeah, again, as always, it can be brought back to the fact that rich bastards don't make money out of it. So they'll happily watch the world burn because it makes the red line go up.
What's interesting, actually, is I was listening to a podcast the other day from Channel 4.
Oh, podcast!
Podcast. And I was actually pointing out that, well, what's the giant irony of this is this desire to be in hoc, right? Because this isn't necessarily about the broader desire to get paid. This is about the very specific special interests that from the oil and gas industry that own our political class. Insofar as what Trump is at risk of doing is kneecapping Americans' international economy so badly because the future of production is coming from the green sector. China will overtake America as the global superpower because America is clinging on for dear life to the oil economy that is limited in terms of its scope. And China backing the world by making all their solar panels at incredibly cheap and competitive prices, that's going to be the way in which that they have all the soft power. So it's not even necessarily like a capitalism thing. This is just a corruption thing.
Oh God, someone said because he was able to ask a question, they're going to take away his pip.
True, that's exactly what they do. I feel, you want question? I see you want questions. I'm asking questions. Therefore, we must. You are clearly need to be on the stacking shelves at Tesco.
Exactly. If you can ask a question, you can work up a chimney. Here's your fucking brush.
In the Amazon rainforest, as we speak. You were net zero minister. I know this is something you believe in.
Net stupid zero.
It's a shame your leader doesn't, though, does she?
Oh, no, she absolutely does. But I was the net zero minister. I was the energy minister
Well,
through
hang on.
the energy crisis.
She wants to scrap the Climate Change Act, which pledges to reach net zero by 2050. She's basically said it's impossible. She wants to continue drilling for oil and
Well,
gas.
thank fuck she will never, ever, ever be Prime Minister.
Who?
Kevin Badrinob? I don't know who that is, but yeah, that guy.
Scrap carbon pricing. I mean, I could go on. You can't be happy about that, Graham. Surely that goes against everything you believe in.
Well, look, Fiona, you obviously, I don't know who does your notes, but I've been on this programme before when I was the energy minister and the net zero minister. And I said then, while we are burning oil and gas, well, we should produce our own. Of course we should. Why would we buy it from abroad, which is fundamentally more insecure, when we're losing jobs here?
But you
Fiona,
supported the pledge to get to
why
net
is
zero
it
by
always
2050?
the Conservatives you interrupt? I don't know.
Well,
you
I think
asked
you'll
me a
find,
question.
Graham, that is not true.
God, what a fucking whinger.
Absolute fucking...
You absolute bitch.
Crybaby.
Shut the fuck up. Like, she interrupts every leftist ever. Why'd you only interrupt the Conservatives? No, because you're talking shit.
I'm just simply asking you.
I'm perfectly capable of answering your question about climate change. Climate change is important. It's real. But the Climate Act is no longer fit for purpose. We transformed the energy system in this country. I'm really proud of it. Less than 7% of our electricity came from renewables when Labour left power. 7%, less than. It was nearly 50 when we left power, and I was a minister helping deliver that. But having the highest electricity prices in the world.
One of the reasons why we had such a low mix of renewables, of course, was the Labour didn't invest because they didn't believe the government should do anything, because Tony Blair was a Thatcherite, just like the governments that preceded him. But there was an issue that we had loads of gas-fired power stations was because of privatisation. It's because they were the ones that had the cheap startup costs for investors. Now, obviously, they had expensive running costs, but it doesn't matter. It was all about the capital at the end of the day. And so when British Gas was private, rather than having a strategic investment system coming from the state owning British Gas, it was all just private interests of the new privatised market that were doing it. And why would they invest in something that was a fledgling technology at the time? Well, Graham Stewart's saying things like, well, we've massively increased it. Well, it's not because you spent any money on it. It's not because you did any kind of deliberate state investment in green tech or in green renewable energy. It was just, it happened to be the kind of growing method of energy production at the time, so it just changed naturally over time. It's no more complex than that.
Yeah.
Will actually make the country poorer. No one's going to copy us if we make ourselves poor. If we deindustrialise, we'll be nowhere. And therefore,
What do you mean if? That happened 20 years ago. Under the Tories. Well, 25 years ago. 30 years ago. Whatever.
Is right to get rid of the Climate Act because we've got to make sure that we're pragmatic. The only way we're going to maintain the commitment of this audience to action on climate is if we can make sure that your children and grandchildren in this country are going to be stronger as a result. Instead, we've got a zealot in Ed Miliband who is just determined to do it regardless. And they've said, even though...
I don't know, you attacking a Jewish guy? That sounds a bit anti-Semitic to me. That's
Accusing a Jewish man of zealotry is a bit...
Yeah, it's a bit sussy backer. You're sounding a bit Hamas. I was going to say.
we're going to use oil and gas for decades to come. Oh no, the union, the TUC members who work in the North Sea, oh no, they can go. And Paul is on the right side of this one, because he has spoken out and recognised that Labour are completely wrong. It is mad.
No, that's unfair.
Importer of oil.
What's stupid here is he's trying to say that the TUC's broader position is just no transition, keep all the oil and gas, who fucking cares? The actual union position is we would like a just transition. Give us industrial investment into renewables and job transition for these people so that they and the areas of the country that they live in are not getting undermined by losing these jobs in these areas of employment. What they aren't saying is just keep all the oil and gas forever. That's a real kind of misrepresentation.
Yeah.
Oil and gas to stop producing our own. We lose tens of billions of tax, many more jobs in oil and gas than we're getting in the green sector, and we then import it from abroad anyway with higher emissions.
Okay, so
I mean,
just
it's utterly
to be
mad,
clear.
economically mad, and even environmentally mad. Climate change is important, but we've got to be pragmatic. We need to carry people with us, and if we have the highest electricity prices in the world, which we do, well, the big red flashing light issues that I dealt with, heat, how do we change our houses to be heated? You need electricity. How do we change our vehicles? You need electricity. How do you change our industry? You need electricity. If you've got the highest electricity in the world, I tell you, we'll never decarbonise. So it's mad what they're doing.
Just to be clear, all those years as net zero minister, when you talked about the importance of reaching net zero by 2050, it's now no longer important.
Well, it was the law, and I did everything possible, and we met every single carbon budget we had. We never missed.
True, it was the law, but you did intend to break it in very limited and specific ways. So that's fine.
We kept going along. But you're getting the point.
Well, and also, like,
looking at it,
you were
very
in
practically.
charge. You set the laws.
Yeah.
If you thought the law was bad, why did you not change it?
Because of the European Union. Oh, we can't use that one anymore. Oh, fuck. Hamas?
If we just decarbonise regardless of the cost to people here, if the cost of living is biting, it's hurting people, and at the base of our whole society is energy. Keeping your house warm, having the lights on, and having a job you can go to requires affordable energy. That's why we've come up with a cheap energy plan. Kemi Badenoch's had the courage to do it against
It's certainly a cheap plan, yeah.
the overall views, and she's right. And we've got to be practical and pragmatic and do our bit, but do it in a way which
I
makes
love that Tories, like, you've got to give them their acting chops on this one. They're all, like, still saying Kemi's a good leader, honest. Knowing that she's gone. She's definitely gone. Like,
Oh, that's gonna. The letters for the 1922 committee must be coming in soon. It's been a year, hasn't it?
It has been a year. They are over the limit, but I think what I said might end up being the case. They'll wait until the elections next year, let her take that poison chalice with her, and then the new person can come in with something of a low bar to clear, and B, a clean slate of sorts.
Yeah, that's true.
us stronger, not making us into a world
So they've got like 7-8 months, whatever it is, to pretend that she's still going to be the leader after that. Yeah. Okay.
Weakling, which is what Ed Miliband is doing right now.
I think both Kemi Badenoch and Nigel Farage's approach actually will put at risk tens of thousands of good quality jobs here in the UK, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But this is not an either or. Graham's absolutely right. We're very clear for workers in the North Sea, thousands of good quality jobs in the North Sea. The government needs to set out a very clear plan, a funded plan about how we're going to transition away from oil and gas in the North Sea. But we do need to tackle climate change. Tom is absolutely right. It is still a priority. It's right for the environment, it's right for the planet, but it's right for good quality jobs here in the UK as well. We've got 6,000 people working on electric vehicles in Nissan just down the road. Last week I was in Jaguar Land Rover, 10,000 jobs in Jaguar Land Rover.
Woke
Jaguar is
Jaguar Land
transitioning to
Rover, I think you mean.
Exactly.
Electric vehicles. The same is happening in green steel. It's happening in our chemicals industry, our cement industry, and we need to see supporting those British manufacturing and engineering employees to make that transition. There is a way to get to climate.
True, but this government doesn't believe in transitions. Wes Streeting is deeply opposed to any such things.
True.
Climate change and at the same time secure good quality employment, whether it's upgrading our energy grid, whether it's building the next generation of new nuclear power, whether it is the next generation of clean green steel. There is no contradiction at all between getting to net zero and good quality jobs and economic success.
So what about licences in the North Sea, Paul? Is the government wrong to ban any new exploration and mean that we're losing tens of thousands of jobs and all the investment is moving elsewhere?
I think you're deliberately putting up a red herring, Graham. We need a
What's
clear
your answer
plan.
to that question, Paul?
We need a clear plan to transition. And
So new licences or not?
Well, I think if you can make an economic case for it.
Of course you can. Just give them licences. They'll make the economic case. If we don't need any subsidy, they'll just go and get it, and we'll get our own, and they'll pay tax, and they'll employ British people, your members, and you're betraying them. If you're not prepared to give a straight answer,
Graham,
you're betraying every single one of those
I don't need to tell you how to represent trade union members, and frankly, I mean, you spent enough time attacking trade unions and trade union members with your government.
I gave them jobs.
We are very clear.
I gave
We've got
them jobs.
workers right at the heart of that debate about the future of the North Sea, and we want every single one of those
You can't give a
workers
straight
to have
answer.
decent jobs.
Man here in the front in the check shirt. Hang on, let's just get a microphone to you. Wait a minute. There you go.
I'm in favour of net zero, but why are we going to be the ones that pay the price when you've got...
Well, I do love all of the locals they've got in the audience tonight. Fuck me, I've heard more posh southern accents, I think, than I have Sunderland accents.
Also, it's like, you know full well he's going to... The next word, after you press play, is going to be the word China.
Yes.
China, you've got India,
Pre-watch, blatant pre-watch, outrageous.
It's a fucking disgrace.
United States all ignoring it.
I mean, China isn't. What? China built more photovoltaic capacity in 2024 than the United States has ever combined in 1 year.
Shut up, Camo.
And the man in the white shirt, you've got your hand up just, yes, towards the middle there. Yeah.
If we continue to drill in the North Sea, is it not just the petrochemical companies, the private organisations that are going to reap the reward? Because aren't Britain just going to buy it at the value if they're going to sell it everywhere else, market price?
Yeah, basically, yes.
Yes.
Now, there's no doubt it does bring in tax money. Let's not pretend that isn't a thing, you know. But, yeah, when it's not actually going to reduce the cost of anything.
No.
Yeah. So it's not going to come down. We're just going to make rich people more rich.
True.
Yeah.
May I answer that?
Very briefly.
Not true. We tax it. We get tens of billions in tax. Hundreds of thousands of people work in the industry.
But it doesn't
and
make
we
it
have,
cheaper. The point you make is it doesn't make it cheaper.
Well, any supply,
We're still buying
it's
it at
supply
that
and
price,
demand
though.
makes a difference. We have a European oil market. It's refined and it comes into the products we want. If the Straits of Hormuz get blocked, we'll suddenly realise how important it was to have oil and gas being produced here in
That's
the North
dumb.
Sea.
No, it's just wrong. We like this idea that we get any of our oil that we use in this country from the Middle East. It's just nonsense. Like, we get most of our oil in terms of where it actually came from Norway. It's mostly from Norway and their state-owned oil company, by the way, Equinor. Weird how they have that big state-owned oil company that gives them $1 trillion national wealth fund, but whatever. Story for another time. It doesn't matter whether or not we personally get our oil from the Middle East. The global supply of oil and gas includes that, and that if that gets cut off from entering the European market, there'll be less supply, so the price will increase. whether or not we have produced our own tiny amount of oil in comparison to the huge amounts that comes out of the Middle East or from Norway or from Russia, is not going to affect the price in the slightest. Not going to affect it in the slightest. Unless, of course, we had a publicly owned company that drilled the oil and then sold it back to ourselves at cost rather than including profit, which is what we would get on the global market.
From someone on the other side of the world. We're in a dangerous world, and not producing it here is mad, financially, economically, and environmentally.
On that point, the amount of investment currently coming into this country on clean energy is more than double coming in on fossil fuels. It's clean energy is the fastest growing sector in this country.
I'm all in favour of it.
And we're out there on the world
you could have both.
Well, look, yeah, and it's going to be part of our energy transition for decades.
What about new licences, Anna? You know it doesn't make sense.
There is still plenty that we have to. It's going to be part of our energy transition for decades to come. But the priority is about that transition, as you said. And as Paul says, it's about making a sustainable, fair transition to make sure that we support our workforce. In this region, we've got billions of pounds of investment in carbon capture, in renewables, in wind turbines, in sustainable aviation fuel. This is creating so many jobs in the northeast. It's reindustrialising areas like Sunderland, areas like
Romania.
It's really, really important that we don't put those at risk.
And is the government still committed to no new licences for drilling in the North Sea?
Yes, that's our commitment, but it's still going to be part of the transition for decades to come. We've always been very, very clear of that.
Tim?
I disagree with the premise of the question from Tom, I think, that it isn't a priority. The world seems to be obsessed by it to me, and most of the world's leaders have flown to Brazil. There's an irony.
The ones that are polluting the most, Tim.
But hang on, there's an irony in that, isn't there? That they're all...
Oh, the same fucking losers make the same dumb point every time. They fly to the... Yeah, people have to fly. No one's saying flight stops. You fucking dumb cunt. I'm so sick of these absolute dweebs thinking this is a good or original point. Literally, go and play Roblox. Fucking hell. Every time. And these people are stealing a living with this kind of commentary. Fuck off.
Flying to a conference to discuss climate change? Historians will laugh at this.
No, they won't!
You know, your mum will laugh at you. Actually, she'll cry and realise that she shat out someone completely fucking worthless.
Yeah, exactly.
This is there. It clearly matters. And it matters because it's real.
Fuck you, chat. I don't look like Jeremy Beadle. And anyone who says so gets fucking shanked. In Minecraft.
The tragedy is because we're in the northern hemisphere. We don't feel climate change in the same way as the poorest parts of the world that feel it the hardest and pay the greatest price for it. We don't experience desertification. We don't experience coastal erosion, which could well lead to the destruction of whole communities.
Okay, but Tim. Just because it isn't happening to us yet doesn't mean it won't happen at some point. And secondly, you don't like immigrants. Sorry, economic migrant, whatever, all that bollocks, right? If you have people experiencing desertification of their previously non-desertified homes, where do you think they're going to go, Tim? Where do you think they're going to go? To the places that aren't fucking deserts, aren't they?
Quite.
If you make sure that all of those people's islands are under the fucking sea, they don't become aquatic, they move.
Also, I'm gonna make a pretty controversial argument here.
Oh, lib shit coming in. Come on now.
No, it's not lib shit. It's controversial in another way.
Oh, okay.
Okay, say for example, we wanted to maximize productivity to beat the world globally in terms of the amount we produced so that our economy was the strongest, right? It's a global competition between economies to be the strongest under capitalism.
Okay.
And every other country used child labor and so produced more than we did. And people in our country are going, let's unban child labor because we're only hurting our own economy by doing it. And every other country does it. So why shouldn't we unban child labor? That's how I feel listening to this argument, going, oh, think how much money we could make by polluting the planet. Other countries are polluting the planet. Plenty of other people are responsible for that. And why should we harm ourselves by not drilling for oil and setting an example when other countries also do that? And I'm like, why is it the planet that is the acceptable casualty of the kind of economy that you want? Yet, if I was to make the argument for child labour, they would think I was insane. And I would be insane.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for some reason, the future apocalypse is something that is up for debate.
You know what future historians will laugh about, assuming such things exist, is that capitalism did to the planet what humanity couldn't do for 200,000 years. Destroy it as a living biome, the only place that we can possibly exist. Thanks, capitalism. It's another success story.
So we feel a little bit insulated from it. We're not aware of how much of a crisis it actually is. And the government is absolutely right that at some point in the future, if we build the infrastructure for it, we could have energy that's not only clean, but cheaper and more secure because we don't rely upon volatile market prices across the world or upon importing from regimes that are bad, etc., etc. And it argues that in order to make sure we get there, we have to impose rules and we have to say no more drilling here, because if we allow any leeway, we'll just fall back into relying upon the fossil fuels and we'll direct investment the wrong way. They're right about all of that. The problem is because they are approaching this from an ideological point of view, they have missed the point about the transition between here and the net zero future. At some point we'll get there, but we're not there yet, and we have to bridge that gap. And that bridge has to involve fossil fuels in some way, especially if, as this government says, it wants to do things like develop AI, which require oodles of energy, which the net zero stuff, it just isn't online yet.
Yeah, and also AI should be banned.
Yeah, that's true.
It's bollocks.
Yeah, they also want to spend loads of money wasting energy on slop. Yeah, that's bad. That's a bad thing they're doing.
Yeah, have you considered that we need to burn the planet down so that people get a 20th iteration of that video of Will Smith eating pasta?
To us. So here I do agree with the Tories. I think it's not unreasonable to say, yes, let's stick to the ambition. Let's make sure we get there. We can even put it into law if we like. But there's no reason in the meantime why we shouldn't use some fossil fuels where we need to in order to bridge that gap. I fear that...
Okay, but we basically are. We're still using loads of fossil fuels. That's still happening. It's just we're not drilling it ourselves. Or new ones, anyway.
The ideological approach is actually going to sap confidence in it, and it's going to eventually lead to the lights going out, because we just aren't producing the energy that we need to sustain our economy.
Woman there in the dark top.
Again, not to sustain our society, not so that people have livable lives, the economy.
Well, also, it would be incredibly possible, very easy to do this, to put up loads of solar panels, because that shit's getting pumped out of the economy of China, right?
Yeah.
But there's two problems. People don't want to buy things off China for humanitarian reasons. And people don't want solar panels to go up because wow, NIMBY.
Yeah.
We're building a lot of new homes in this country. Why are we not building energy efficient homes with electric charging sockets and solar panels on the roof, which will bring everyone's bills down?
Well, because that would involve because that would involve private developers going upon themselves to do something for social utility, for doing something with social utility rather than profit in mind.
Yeah, exactly. They're not being forced to do it, or indeed subsidised to do it, so they're not going to do it.
Or we can have a public developer that did it by standard.
Well, that would also be good, yes.
We're really committed to that, and I know we've just had a huge announcement on the number of solar panels going onto public buildings, schools and hospitals and so on as well, because where we're building and where we've got public buildings, we should absolutely be using renewable energy to furnish them, so I completely agree with you.
But is it happening?
Yeah, Ed Miliband's absolutely committed to it, and as I said, well, I think we've committed to 1.5 million new homes in this country, so I think it's really important we have the highest environmental standards on those, and yeah.
There's a lot of scepticism you're going to get to that 1.5 million, but
I think they've already failed. I think if you haven't had the spades in the ground already, you are not going to get to that total.
Nope, I agree.
They've basically already failed. In theory, if they super duper turbocharge it and put squillions into a public housing boom or something, but that's not going to happen. So they failed. Yeah.
Sure, we'll come back to that subject another day. I've got 10 minutes left, and I want to fit in the last question, if you don't mind. Penny Riley Smith. There you go.
Is the country becoming more violent, or do politicians and the media just make us feel that way?
No and yes.
Yeah, the second one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have too much care for this, and we've been going 3.5 hours, and I'm tired, so I'm gonna stop there.
Well, I'm carrying on, not with this question though, because again, I think it's pointless. But I do have another thing I want to watch. So
Do you have happy hour on Fridays?
No, I'm going to watch a thing about football Zionism.
That's cool. I will raid everyone into you then, Kevin.
Yes.
Everyone go and follow Kevin when I do the raid. Otherwise, I will find you. I will fucking find you.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Everyone, please subscribe. Please give me money. I need money. Please,
True.
please. Patreon.com/NoJusticeMTG.
Yes. Everyone go and follow No Justice MTG on all the platforms.
Do it. That's an order. And thank you for joining me, Kev, and Free Palestine, and I'll see you on Sunday.
Indeed.
For some award-winning journalism.
Fuck yeah. See you later.
Right.
Bye-bye. Shitty chats and kitty cats, how are we all?
Get the fuck, they came not play me all these mutants.
Hello, mutants! I might change up some of my voice alert things, I think.
We got victory is ours.
Honestly, this Jeremy Beadle slander is just too much. Okay?
You just assaulted me.
Like, outrageous. Outrageous. What do you need money for? I'm skin here. Well, I need money to live, basically. I need money for livings and that. Palette cleanser.
Ladies and gentlemen,
what palette cleanser do we have?
Victory is ours.
That is a dog. Golden Retriever discovers his puppy cam. Okay.
What are you doing?
What the fuck did you say, woman?
What are you doing? Come upstairs.
Oh, baby dogs. Oh, puppy dogs. Anyway, we're going to watch this thing called Football Zionism by a channel called Geopold, which people told me to go and watch, so I'm going to do that. Fuck yeah, baby. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the follow button and subscribe and all that jazz. You can indeed give me money, and you can go and follow No Justice of the MTGs and all of the platforms.
You call this living, Jesus. Better have some bits.
So, well, thank you, Vogel.
You just assaulted me.
Fact. Fact.
It's a fucking disgrace.
Let the what talk? Hey, yo! Over the last weeks, you may have seen some political football-related memes. For example, Erling Haaland photoshopped into some,
Erling Hamas.
Unique drip. He plays for Norway, a country which is...
That's, honestly, that painting is an absolute fucking... That is a violation right there. A violation of his human rights. Thank you, Vogel, by the way, with the biddy bits. If someone else does a thing now, we get onto a hype train, which would be fucking sexy. And you know I like sexy. Obviously.
Has held massive pro-Palestinian protests recently. Therefore, Oslo last Saturday held probably the second most politicized sporting event of recent times. Norway versus Israel. And I only say second most because the same European World Cup qualifiers competition, European, they also held this match. Who allowed this? Who let this happen, bruh? Can you imagine organizing the security for Serbia versus Albania? We are genuinely lucky. fucking nuke didn't go off during this match. And talking about nuking, I want to point out how Israel, for some reason, is always counted in European events. Judging by the political views most European countries have against Middle Eastern people coming to their countries right now, can you imagine the backlash if Syria or Lebanon or Palestine played in European football tournaments? By the way, all these countries are to some level occupied by Israel. So if you use the mainstream argument, they should play under the blue and white flag, my friend. It's all Israel. That's why we wear these patches on our official military uniforms. Greater Israel, the end goal of maximalist Zionism. And if you disagree, we will simply just eliminate every single athlete you have. Israel is a bit like my friend from Georgia, right? Because whenever it's convenient for him to be Asian, he'll present himself as Asian. Same with Israel. This was always our land for thousands of years. It was our ancestral land. That's exactly why we all get skin cancer from the sun, because we're all naturally meant to be here. In fact, we are the only democratic Middle Eastern nation. We are the saviors of the Arab world. But also, just like my Georgian mate, whenever it's convenient for him to be European, what are you even talking about this word Asia? This word is not even in my vocabulary. We have every right to compete in the European World Cup qualifiers competition or Eurovision, the European singing contest. What the fuck is Israel doing in Eurovision, bro? Last year they came second, mainly because every single year Netanyahu's government runs a literal propaganda campaign to get votes in Eurovision, because this really helps Israel's presence get normalized within European entertainment.
Yesterday, wanted criminal Benjamin Netanyahu talked to the Israeli Eurovision representative and told her Israel is the rightful winner
By the
of
way, everyone go and follow Verily Bitchy, who is fucking dope.
Eurovision, and that Israel is going to finish the job in Gaza. Officially, politicization of Eurovision isn't allowed, and yet the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Deputy Foreign Minister, the Israeli embassies and ambassadors around the world, official state accounts, and Netanyahu himself told people to vote 20 times, with a campaign led by the Israeli government advertising agency. For days, the State of Israel posted almost nothing except Eurovision promotional content. Eurovision is clearly part of a formal government PR campaign, and the people listened, winning Israel first place in the televote. But there's something odd about the numbers. In the final, Belgium gave Israel 12 points, but we can see that in the last 2 years, since Israel has been running this campaign, the number of viewers in Belgium has halved, but somehow the number of televotes has nearly doubled.
Nothing dodgy going on there. Nothing at all.
Generally, pro-Palestinian Slovenia hasn't given Israel a single televote point in the final for over a decade, not even when Israel won the contest. But now suddenly Slovenians are voting for Israel in droves, and Ireland, who almost never votes for Israel, is now giving them top points. And Israeli politicians are using this manufactured vote to convince the world that
Verily Bitchy, the person on the left, that's the person.
Israel is actually very popular in Europe, even though the polls show that most Europeans dislike Israel and want them out of Eurovision.
Doing this is completely illegal for the contest, by the way. However, they have not been disqualified for it at all, not once. Instead, the EBU disqualifies my goat Joost Klein after he says a couple of minorly slightly passive-aggressive words against the Israeli contestant.
Have you ever thought that by being here, you bring risk and danger for other participants and public?
You don't have to answer that question if you don't want to.
Why not?
Today, APAC.
Why not?
Hill APAC.
APAC. You may have heard our name, but how much do you really know about APAC?
I don't know anything about APAC. Was it IPAC? EPAC? I don't know whether I've never even heard of this. What is this organisation? Tell me more. Funny.
APAC is an American organization that works to strengthen the U.S.-Israel relationship. This partnership advances America's interests and democratic values and helps keep Israel safe. Our 5 million members are U.S. citizens, Democrats and Republicans from every part of the country who urge our elected leaders to enact pro-Israel policies. This includes expanding America's defense partnership with Israel, supporting life-saving security assistance, confronting Iran and its terror proxies, and promoting peace and normalization.
Oh yeah, lots of peace going on. Yeah.
Being pro-Israel is good policy, And AIPAC members make sure it's good politics, too. We raise money to help elect pro-Israel candidates for Congress from both parties. And we take the political fight to our opponents, helping defeat anti-Israel candidates running for the House or Senate. AIPAC is leading the fight in Washington to secure the future of the U.S.-Israel relationship. The actions of pro-Israel Americans today will help determine the future of this bond and the fate of both countries.
Here is Trump this week, genuinely on his hands and knees for Bibi.
Why don't you give him a pardon? And let me also give a very special thanks to someone who truly loves Israel so much that my daughter converted. I'm proud to be the best friend that Israel has ever had, and they all say it. I authorized the spending of billions of dollars which went to Israel's defense, as you know. I mean, Bibi would call
America first. Bee-boo.
me so many times, can you get me this weapon, that weapon, that weapon? Some of them I never heard of, Bibi, and I made them. But we'd get them here, wouldn't we, huh?
America first, everybody. Woo!
And they are the best. They are the best. But you used them well. It also takes people that know how to use them. And you obviously used them very well. But so many that Israel became strong and powerful, which ultimately led to peace. That's what led to peace.
Yeah, that's what led to peace.
If any of you are wondering, by the way, the peace deal is an absolute load of cap. It's totally one-sided. Most Palestinians are already
And it's basically collapsed already, but yeah.
completely disarmed, apart from the radical proxy groups who are funded by Israel. However, there's no ceasefire. They are still doing lovely things.
Yep. They're still dropping bombs on Palestine right now. You're not hearing about it in the news quite so much. I think Israel worked out that they have to pretend to be peaceful at least, because, you know, that gets the media off their back, if nothing else. Thank you, I can't give a duck, for gifting a sub to B. Netanyahu is evil, which is true.
It is great to welcome to the program.
Oh wow, okay. Pac-Man interviewing Mamdani. Well, there you go. I was umming and ahhing as to whether... Yeah, this is Geopold. I was umming and ahhing as to whether to watch... what do you call it? The Bad Empanada video about, like, oh, Mamdani's going to let you down. Because, like, he'll probably make some good points about how he's actually a liberal and not really a, you know, a fantastic progressive in any way and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, like... He'll probably make some good points, but it'll just be depressing, you know? Like, I don't need some fucking cynical wanker, fucking Australian who lives in Argentina to, like, bring me down. Fuck that noise.
If we could get your reaction, sir. The Israelis, a hospital in Gaza, 20 people, including 5 journalists.
When did this happen?
This happened overnight, today.
I didn't know that.
Any reaction to this? Are you
Well,
going
I'm
to
not
talk
happy
to Prime
about it.
Minister?
I don't want to see it. At the same time, we have to end that whole nightmare. I'm the one that got the hostages out. I got them out. All of them.
Hostages freed just means now anywhere in Gaza can be struck with no backlash from the Israeli public. Maybe let's also compare the state of each side's hostages, and how can we talk about aid being let into Gaza when less than half the promised aid trucks are actually being allowed past the border? Also, how can we talk about the area being safe when the homes are now mainly all...
By the way, having mentioned Trump, did you say this is genuinely hang it in the Louvre? Although it will be stolen, of course, because the password is still Louvre, I imagine. But look at that. So he was in there was some event happening in the thing, and someone literally passed out. And it's just like, this is what would happen if you died. This is how your cat would react. This is how your cat would just be like, I don't care. He's over there dead. I don't give a fuck. You better feed me. Just phenomenal.
That is a stiff dick of poop.
An absolute phenomenal lack of any empathy whatsoever. Couldn't give less of a fuck about the person who might be dead behind him.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
Thank you to I Can't Give a Duck for gifting subs to neoliberalism_kills and Trump is a fascist. Very nice. Thank you.
All unstable piles of rubble. There's no hospitals, libraries, schools, all whilst the average Gazan male age is now 14. Oh, and most importantly though, remember Americans, just remember, the real saviors, the real people you should be bowing down to right now and thanking.
Qatar was a tremendous help to getting this done. I hope people can realize that. And it was very tough and very dangerous for Qatar. They were very brave, and their leader, the Emir,
I've been producing lots of Qatar over the last few days. Fuck me.
was very, very brave. And Qatar should start getting some credit.
Look, they may or may not have the best airline on planet Earth. I mean, President Trump will be the first person to confirm this fact. However, look, take this from me, a Brit, yeah? We have a lot of experience with these guys, Qatar. Trust me, you don't want a London situation. Yeah, it's almost like private investment like this is what makes the UK completely unlivably expensive right now. And the super popular new right-wing party in the UK, Reform, based their entire agenda on increasing private investment. Oh, wait, sorry, my fault. I should be focusing on the boats coming over the 7 seas, mate, the invasion. Look, guys, all I'm saying, we might not want a fucking Qatari military base on our soil. Just an idea, just a crazy thought I had. Maybe we don't want to give away like huge sections of our sovereign land to Qatar in return for billionaires getting favors.
Also proud that today we're announcing, we're signing a letter of acceptance to build a Qatari Emiri Air Force facility at the Mountain Home Air Base in Idaho. The location will be host a contingent of Qatari F-15s.
And this isn't some...
Why? What does Qatar need airplanes for there? What is it gonna do?
Insane proposal I'm bringing up. I think it's extremely clear that Trump bootlicking Qatar has absolutely nothing to do with a peace deal in Gaza. I mean, there is simply not peace in Gaza, is there? And if you want to play that game, please tell me, Qatar supporters, which nation literally missile struck and took out innocent Qatari citizens on Qatari land, which by every single international standard was a crime to the highest degree and was condemned as such by most countries on earth. Maybe? Oh yeah, it was Israel. Oh no, but I forgot. We need to focus on disarming Gaza. Dude, Israel have fucking nukes. You want to know what kind of advanced weaponry Gazans have? Rocks. Americans are so
No, but they do also have cookies that they can turn into rocket fuel via magic.
misled about Qatar is insane. First of all, they pronounce it as Qatar. Secondly, they turn on the news and hear shit like this.
This is about Iran. Iran and Qatar.
Van Jones is scum. I've said my piece. Thank you, I Can't Give a Duck, for gifting a sub to Dick Cheney, War Profiteer. As you do. If someone else gifts a thing now, we would be on a hype train and I could get to the fingerings. If that's a thing you're interested in, you know.
Have come up with a disinformation campaign that they are running through TikTok and Instagram that is massive. If you are a young person, you open up your phone and all you see is Diddy. That's basically your whole feed.
Qatar working with Iran, bro? What? Iran attacked Qatar with missiles 4 months ago, you dumb. Most Arabs hate Iran, you dumb.
Thank you. What's your name? Iran?
I thought you America First guys were meant to be buddies with Qatar now. I thought you two were together in the fight against Iran, right? Oh, who would have thought? This guy was paid to say those words by...
Because he's literally paid by Israel. Thank you, I Can't Give a Duck, for gifting a sub to Finger Ring. Enough said.
an Israeli journalism program. Exactly what I was talking about before. Western politics and entertainment being corrupted by Israeli investment and intimidation. This applies to football as well. Celtic, Paris, many football clubs have been fined due to pro-Palestinian banners being displayed by...
Which is, you know, you'd think the free speech people would be up in arms about. But they are being paid $7,000 a time, so, you know, maybe not.
By fans during matches. However, Israel's football clubs, including the specifically depraved Beitar Jerusalem, are completely allowed to just come to any European city and chant potentially the most comically evil collection of words I've ever heard being put together into a sentence by a crowd.
At least they're not doing the you call everyone you don't like racist bit. At least they're like, no, we actually are very racist. At least they're being honest about that, you know.
Have to be collectively so demonic and deranged to invent chants like this. How do you even come up with this, bro? Who was the first guy to chant those words? It's like, who was the first guy to figure out that taurine gives you energy? You know? Anyway, the specific Israeli football club, Beitar Jerusalem, have been taking L's recently. They lost the Israeli State Cup in 2024 and in 2025, both times resulting in unspeakable crimes committed by Beitar Jerusalem fans within Israeli cities. Their frustration at their local clubs has driven these extremist hooligans into Europe. Whether it's for the national Israeli team or for club teams like Beitar Jerusalem or Maccabi Tel Aviv, you can guarantee the city hosting these games will be swamped with degeneracy. We saw it with the Tel Aviv supporters in Amsterdam, vandalizing and desecrating Dutch people's private property, crimes and attacks against Dutch Arabs. The local authorities even made it illegal to protest in favor of Palestine during the week of the football game, which led to many political arrests on the opposition side. However, the Tel Aviv supporters were completely legally allowed to demonstrate. These Maccabi Tel Aviv FC supporters also chose to demonstrate, make loads of noise and disrupt the moment of silence, which was supposed to happen before the football match kicked off in Amsterdam to commemorate the victims of the horrific Valencia floods. Why? Oh, because Spain recognized Palestine around that time. That's right, if your country thinks
that's the kind of scum fox that the government wanted to bring into the country, by the way.
Palestine is an actual existing thing, I'm sorry, your family needs to drown in a flash flood. That's just the only logical conclusion I can come to right now. So, football hooligans aren't the only culprits when it comes to unwelcome tourists in the Netherlands, though actually the UK exports the most hated Dutch expats. So if you're like me and you have this canal-filled, clog-wearing, stroopwafel-eating, beer-drinking nation on your to-visit list, but you want to avoid being hated by literally every Dutch person you run into, the most important step is learn a bit of the language. It makes all the difference.
I've learnt loads. I know what the word for dead is. Right, dude. We haben ein serious Problem. Jizz Horn Camp. Homo Bar. True, Homo Bar. And to be honest with you, I will need directions to the Homo Bar, so that will come in handy if I go to the Netherlands again. So I reckon I'm basically fluent, really, when you think about it. If you round up to the nearest complete language, I basically am, you know. The cunts are still letting off fucking fireworks. It's the 7th. You hearing that? Fucking pricks.
Even if you turn up with just some basic Dutch phrases down, these guys will welcome you with open arms. I'm talking free beers, okay? Free beer. Trust me, I know from experience. Free beer, bro. How can you pass this down? Now, you might be wondering, Leo, how do I acquire such free beers? How would you recommend I get some simple language skills down? Which method always works for you? iTalki. It's a hybrid language learning.
Also, the only Dutch you ever need to learn, I think to really bond and communicate with a Dutch person. I've played it before, but come on now. It's worth it.
Nederland gaat in de halve finale komen. Ik heb opeens zo'n gevoel dat we in de halve finale gaan komen met het balbezit voor Frank de Boer. Frank de Boer speelt de bal heel goed naar Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp neemt de bal aan. Dennis Bergkamp! Dennis Bergkamp! Dennis Bergkamp! Dennis Bergkamp! Dennis Bergkamp! Oh! Frank de Boer speelt de bal naar Dennis Bergkamp. Die neemt de bal feilloos aan. En die schiet de bal erin. We spelen nog officieel 20 seconden. Dennis Bergkamp! 2-1!
Now, Bergkamp running onto the ball. Bergkamp, the Jets score!
Oh, we didn't need the American shite afterwards, Jesus.
Learning platform built around personalized one-on-one lessons with real teachers, supported by...
Nah, bruv, you're not doing a fucking advert on my shit. Is that an advert? No way. Fuck off with your fucking adverts, man.
Norway-Israel match. What made this beef so specifically spicy? Like, bro, neither of these countries have any experience with spice or seasoning. Well, I have to admit...
We're having that again.
Neither of these countries have any experience with spice or seasoning. Well, I have to admit, before this month I may...
They are two of the blandest countries that ever existed. God bless them, but come on now.
Jam fashionable. Jam fashionable. Jam fashionable. Jam fashionable.
What? Thank you, MBT. Thank you, I can't give a duck with gifted memberships to Tartan Army. Is that the actual Tartan Army? No, it is not. But thank you.
Have had some prejudiced opinions about Norway. I was raised to be a proud Swedish boy, you know? But I can't lie, this actually changed everything for me. This changes everything. A couple weeks before the match, the Norwegian FA said that it would donate profits from ticket sales from the game against Israel to support the work of Doctors Without Borders in Gaza. And 2 days ago, they did exactly that. Alongside the Norwegian FA, multiple private Norwegian donors pledged multi-millions of Norwegian kroners in donations to doctors in Gaza. Wow, pure cinema. And of course, to extremist Israeli football hooligans, such as the ones I've already highlighted in this video, helping out doctors in war zones like Gaza, putting their lives on the line to help out others when there isn't...
Shit, I got rid of the Norway signs. I cleaned up the other day. And, you know, they're gone. I've got no more officially licensed merchandise.
Even basic healthcare services, and most of the suffering population is children.
It's not fireworks, the rats have started the revolution. Well, you know what? All power to them.
These disgusting, insane football hooligans, this heartfelt support is about the biggest insult possible you can rub in their faces. Millions of dollars sent to doctors in Gaza, plus...
255. I mean, look, it's sort of complicated, but yeah, there's no doubt that Israel uses the Holocaust as a shield. Yes. Whether they're using specifically Holocaust remembrance in that way, maybe, but like, they definitely do. Like, they're constantly pushing. This was the worst attack since the Holocaust, because again, you have to mention it all the time because it's Israel, and that's what they do. Even though they treat survivors of the Holocaust very poorly in Israel.
A 5-0 win. Hey, let the bull talk.
True, and the bull said, fuck you, you fucking genocidal freaks.
Okay, so that was meant to be the end of this video. However, there has recently been a lot of breaking news which has, believe it or not, actually personally affected me quite a lot. As some of you may know, I live in a certain beautiful city called Birmingham. One of the...
Oh, Jesus Christ. Is he a fucking Villa nonce?
Main football clubs in my city is Aston Villa, who on November 6th are set to play Maccabi Tel Aviv in Villa Park Stadium, which is in the northern east side of Birmingham. Now, if you guys know anything about Birmingham, you'll know it's one of the most culturally diverse places on earth. It's kind of an artificial city that historically doesn't date back too far. Most people that live here have roots somewhere else, including me. It's also quite a poor city. Ever since the Industrial Revolution, we've been one of the most working class cities in the the UK. The poverty rate is extremely bad here, so we get a lot of shit. If you look from the outside in, I can see how Birmingham appears to be quite a shithole.
Why I'm angry? Don't ask me why. I've just woke up in a fucking steaming mood, yeah? Because I live in a shithole. Do you know what I mean? Birmingham is a fucking shithole. I hate the fucking place.
At this very moment, Britannia burns.
Rats! I fucking hate it. It's full of dickheads. I fucking hate it.
But most of this narrative is kind of sensationalized. You know, YouTubers come here and go to the worst areas possible, have friendly interactions, but just focus on the trash which litters our streets.
Look at all that in the bush there behind me, guys. Birmingham just seems to be like one big rubbish dump. The moment
Fuck you, Joe Fish, you cunt.
you step outside the city centre, there's just rubbish and crap everywhere.
Lovely. What a sight to be greeted by. Flipping heck.
And then blame that trash on brown people who've lived here for many generations, in some cases 100 years or even more, built the entire city up, created new foods and cultural identities that you can't even find outside of Birmingham. Yeah,
Birmingham was probably booming back in the 1950s, post-World War II.
How to put it delicately, it doesn't feel very British, let's put it that way.
Yeah, he means brown people. Again, he just means brown people.
I know writers who use subtext and they're all cowards.
It's actually really good.
their existence is definitely the reason we have rubbish on our streets. Nothing to do with how the bin men haven't collected the bins genuinely in years, because they've been on strike and the local council is bankrupt because of the ridiculous spending and underfunding from the UK government. Oh yeah, but it's way easier to simply blame brown people, isn't it? So now you understand the general attitude that outsiders come to Brum with. You can imagine letting the world's potentially most racist group of people in existence come here and attend a football game is kind of risky for the safety of Brummies mainly. I mean, look how Amsterdam went. Multiply this by
But the government are so fucking cucked out to Israel that they'll blame the people of Birmingham for this, rather than the racists from Israel. Cool.
20x and you have the potential horrors of November 6th, 2025 in North Birmingham. The other big issue is Birmingham is probably the most pro-Palestinian place I've ever been. The entire reason the whole English flag hanging bullshit started in the city was because outsiders from villages in Worcester or Stratford or Stoke, etc.
Yeah, it's knobheads from out of town mostly.
etc. started coming to Birmingham and tearing down Palestinian flags, replacing them with UK flags out of patriotism. So like, if you think Israeli football fans and locals ideologically clashed in Amsterdam, oh boy, Birmingham is probably the worst place on earth for these guys to come, I can't lie. So because of this, the local safety advisory group,
well, they do call us Birmingham Hamas. Birmingham Hamas. Do you see what I fucking mean? Absolute pricks. There's literally smoke from it as well. You seeing this, chat? What's the point of this number of fucking rockets? Really? Oh, for fuck's sake. This is why I can't stand for election. Because I'd have to try and win the votes of these people. Oh, for fuck's sake! Chat, please donate money to me so I can move. Please. I'm fucking begging you. I'm on my knees. Like, I will sell all of my holes to you. Please, just let me leave this place. Although we are about to get a Green MP, maybe, so, you know. Jacob redeemed on-screen celebration. Oh, I forgot that was even a thing. Thank you for the bits, Jacob. The 2 lots of strange bits. Could we get the Greens to ban fireworks? Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully.
Group comprising of police, city council, stadium authorities, etc. has classified the fixture as high risk, and as a result they've decided no away fans, no Tel Aviv fans, would be allowed to attend the match. This has created probably the most outrage and the most news headlines I've seen my city get in years. Every day in the news someone brings this shit up. I constantly see Birmingham in the headlines. It's crazy. It's an absolute pain driving from my house to the city centre because there have been countless protests over the last week, mainly calling for the banning of Israel from the Europa League. Of course, British patriot Tommy Robinson has chimed in favour of course, the British football team. Oh, wait, no. My bad. In favour of the Israeli team, actually. Inciting Israel supporters to show up at the stadium and riot on November.
And interestingly, he didn't turn up. He was in Spain. Like the good patriot he is.
November 6th. Wait, who's coming to support Maccabi Tel Aviv at Villa Park on November 6th then? Right! Basically announcing that he will be at the stadium, which will obviously bring out thousands of inbred carling drinking, benefit claiming Zionists to Birmingham city centre, and he'll probably then say 3 million people attended or something. But yeah, this is actually so nice of him because it looks like
bear in mind, I don't have any windows open. This is the noise that's coming through fucking double glazed windows. Absolutely ridiculous. Dogs are barking like fuck because they're losing their minds. Poor little fuckers. Cats are probably shitting themselves mental all over the place. Honestly, humans are such fucking knobs.
he's actually cutting his luxury Israel holiday short to come and handle business in the UK.
I'm in Tel Aviv. I'm honoured to be here. It's a privilege to be invited here. And although we may have a weak, spineless, cowardly government who recognise the state of Palestine, the British people stand with the state of Israel.
Nah, bruv. Nah. All the opinion polls say otherwise. Do you want to actually fucking do one? I might as well show you all. Hang on a minute. Can we... Is that going to work at all? Is that working? Oop. There we go, hang on. You can kind of see it. Look at the smoke. You can see all the fucking smoke in that. Fucking mental. You hear the dogs? You done? Hopefully it's now done. That's the reflection of the light from in here. That's that reflection of that. Hang on. Oop. That. Okay, well, I'll keep you updated. Oh, that's the wrong one. There we go. I'm just going to put it there, and you're going to get a close-up of my face, probably, or something. I don't know. Hello. In case it starts again, I'll show you. We might as well get a free show out of it, right?
Hell no! Tommy Robinson has just landed in Israel on an official Affairs. Amichai Shikli, a major moment for free speech and truth-telling on the world stage. We'll be following him all along.
Free speech. By the way, this is Avi Yemeni, a convicted domestic abuser. So, you know, when they're going about protecting the women and girls. Yeah. I don't think they really mean it.
On the way for TommyInIsrael.com.
Oh my God, bro.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
How are you feeling?
I'm happy to be here, mate. I'm honoured to be here.
What are you hoping from this trip?
That sounds like an Australian accent, Avi. It's almost like you're not native to the Middle East.
I'm hoping to show solidarity with real strong leadership. I wish our country had a leader like Netanyahu.
You actually cannot make this shit up, man. The main argument of guys like Tel Aviv Tommy always seems to be, oh, but every team has bad apples. Every football team has a bad couple of fans. You wouldn't ban Paris fans from attending matches here. They're super violent. Birmingham is actually just anti-cement, etc., etc. You know what I mean. But making this argument is...
Okay, we need to start calling it anti-cement, because that is funny.
So silly in my opinion. This has nothing to do with the country the hooligans are from. Birmingham is one of the most accepting places on earth for people from other countries or backgrounds or countries. If you go to the Bristol Road, right, by the Cannon Hill Park area, there is genuine...
That's down by the cricket ground. Edgbaston Stadium, there it is. That's where they play Test match cricket, right in the middle there.
A synagogue next to a mosque, next to a church, next to a gurdwara, next to a Buddhist temple, next to a Hindu temple. I can guarantee...
Again, all around the stadium, the cricket stadium.
To you, the uproar about Tel Aviv coming to Birmingham to play football is simply to do with the politics of the entire...
Oh, it would appear they haven't fucking finished. At least these ones are a little bit quieter. But like, why do you need this many fireworks, really? Okay, these ones are loud again. Fucking kill me in Minecraft or something, I don't know. Be enjoying the show, chat? So I've got a slightly skew-if angle there.
It's a fucking disgrace.
See, I know these people. I knew they were going to start again. That's loud enough that it's clipping into the yellow. It's as loud as my voice is, and I'm a foot away from the fucking microphone. Pricks. Absolute fucking pricks. Are we done for the time being? Yeah? Okay. Fucking absolute melters.
event. If Russia is banned from the Europa League, I think it's completely understandable to call for the banning of Israel from the Europa League. And this is simply what everyone is protesting for in my city. I mean, at least a bit of Russia is in Europe, at least. It's the Europa League. Get Israel.
I mean, at least it's not very late at night, but still. Thank you, Retro Border, for becoming a member on the YouTubes. Don't forget, everyone, you're a very angry man. I am a very angry man. I don't like massive loud noises going off near my fucking head for hours on end. Days on end, in fact. This is like the 3rd or 4th day this has been fucking happening. But if you want to give me money to hire an assassin, I wouldn't do that, obviously, but if you wanted to give me money, you still can, in the form of bits and subs and things. That is a possibility for you all. Thank you again to Jacob with the on-screen celebration. I don't know if it showed up because I don't have the thingamajig on this particular screen. Death to the West. Actually, on that point, at what point, you know, I was making the joke yesterday about, not yesterday, the day before, about how it's okay to, like, celebrate Guy Fawkes. Because, you know, it was long enough ago that it doesn't matter anymore. Hang on, where's, oh, bookmarks. Did you see Calvin Robinson? The strange little fish boy. Where is I? Did I not bookmark this? I could have sworn I bookmarked it. Oh, here we go. Catholic extremist, naturally. Remember the 5th of November. Rest in peace, Guy Fawkes. Now, whatever one thinks of Guy Fawkes and the gunpowder plot and the righteousness of the Catholic cause, etc., etc., he was a terrorist. Like, if anyone is going to be called a terrorist, it would be the guy that tried to blow up all of the Parliament. Right? Surely. Why is it okay to do this and not, for instance, I mean, I would suggest you don't do this because it would be terrorism, but you couldn't possibly go out there and say, I support Palestine action, because that would be terrorism. You go to jail forever. But you're okay being like, no, Guy Fawkes was dope. Is Siberia in Asia? Yes, it is. I celebrate what he gave. He gave it a go. You can say that. I can't say that.
The f*** out of European sports, entertainment, politics, TV, everyone's minds, brains, everything. Israel wants Middle Eastern land so badly. The whole idea of maximalist Zionism is to just take the entire...
Are you fucking my arsehole right now? How have you gotten bigger? How have you gotten bigger fucking... That was enormous. It didn't make that much of a noise, but it was fucking... Jesus Christ. These cunts, I swear to God, man.
Middle East, but then as soon as it becomes time to actually identify as Middle East, they're like, no, we'll be playing against European teams in Birmingham, actually. That's what we're going to be doing. Anyway, yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, hit any of these goddamn buttons. Smash them. I know I'm a
Nah, fuck that noise. But I will be subscribing because that was quite a good video. But I am also going, well, not going to bed because it's only like fucking not even 7 o'clock yet, technically. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. Mostly for watching the free fireworks show. Yeah. What is this, 255? We'll do it next time, 255. We'll do it next time. Thank you. $30 seconds. What is? Longest. No, I'm going to. I'm fucking finished. Stop it. Stop linking me things now. Why would you link me things now when I'm literally about to fucking finish? Stop. Stop it. What's the WEF? The World Economic Forum. On YouTube. On Twitch? Who's going on Twitch? It's the Young Turks. LOL. Gremloid. Otherwise known as Gremlo. I'll send you into Gremlo. I said we'll do with it next time, 255. Link it to me tomorrow, and I'll look at the thing that you've done there. And yes, thank you everyone for listening and watching. I will see you all tomorrow, where we'll be watching things. Probably Christie's video, which everyone, by the way, go and check out Christie's video on the YouTube. It's very good. These fucking pricks. Bye.